Hello everybody, welcome to the Red Devil Experience. My name is Eric. Hope everybody is doing well. We got the latest Manchester United transfer news and updates surrounding the club and some players. Obviously the big one, Bruno Fernandes, we're going to get into that. But it is Friday freestyle as well. So chat is going to control the show pretty much after we do a little bit of the news. And yeah, it's going to be a good show. Fridays are always good shows. So before we get into the show, please make sure you smash the like button because it helps the channel grow and we greatly appreciate it. If you're not a subscriber, make sure you subscribe if you enjoyed the content and hit the notification bell icon so you stay up to date with all the lives and all the news and you don't miss any part of the show. But other than that, let's just get straight into let's get into the big one. I mean, Bruno Fernandes, obviously pretty much the talk of the town at this moment in time. You know, a lot of a frenzy. Still has divided opinion quite heavily. I mean, he divides opinion as a Manchester United player. His potential transfer to Saudi Arabia is quite divisive as well, because there's some people out there that they're happy to sell him. Some people not necessarily happy, but they understand the situation at the club and they're kind of okay with it. And then there's many people out there that are quite against it and don't think it's the right move. And they see Bruno as the major pivotal player. And this is where we really kind of find ourselves in. As right now, the way it stands, you know, there was developments that happened last night. Yesterday, we talked about those developments. Bruno Fernandes' agent went and met Saudi Arabian officials, Al Hilal officials to be exact. Went out there, spoke to them. Apparently, they agreed to give what Bruno Fernandes' agent was asking from Al Hilal, and they have given a proper offer to him. And yeah, so pretty much the day started off like this. I'm just gonna run through the news that we got about Bruno. But Samuel Luckhurst coming out saying Bruno Fernandes is giving serious consideration to joining Al Hilal. That was about 11 hours ago. He also followed up Samuel Luckhurst and then Laurie Whitwell combining for this one, saying Manchester United have refused to rule out Bruno Fernandes' possible sale. Al Hilal are eager to conclude a deal quickly so he can play for them in the World Cup, Club World Cup. Laurie Whitwell then tagging on and saying there's a feeling internally that should Man United entertain Al Hilal's bid, that might invite European teams to make offers as well. That was also about 11 to 10 hours ago. Ben Jacobs then came with an update, said if Bruno Fernandes accepts the deal, he could become the third highest paid player in football after Cristiano Ronaldo and Karim Benzema. The Telegraph Football also reported saying Al Hilal are increasingly confident of landing a deal for Bruno Fernandes after positive talks, a deal that could be worth between 80 million to 100 million. I'll just stop right there. 100 million should be the minimum. These guys have money. I mean, they have serious money. They're absolutely super serious about this. They really want this. I think Manchester United, we should be pressing them for as much money as possible. There's no way. And you know, people might say it's only 20 million. I don't give a shit. When we're in a position where our club is absolutely in you know, the worst position that we've ever been in, and we're struggling for money, and we're also, you know, don't have Champions League to offer the players, and we need to rebuild the squad, we should be getting every penny that we can get. So Manchester United should be actually, you know, demanding, you know, 125 million. You know, we should be doing to them what people were doing to us when we did have money, even though we kind of really didn't. But, you know, when we did have money and we were going to transfers and, you know, pretty much like Anthony, I mean, it just kept going up every, you know, 10 minutes. They just kept raising it by 25 million and we ended up paying 90. You know, they shouldn't. There's no way we should do this deal for 80. I mean, in the beginning, about a month and a half ago, this was reported that they were going to offer 120 million. Now it's going to 100 million pounds and 80 million pounds. You know, for me, no. I mean, the minimum I'd take is 100, but if I'm in their position, I'm saying, listen, you really want this guy? I would push it high, real high. I would probably start with 130 million. They'd probably be rejected, but I'd try to get them to get, higher than the 100 million for sure. There's been some more updates as well. So Ben Jacobs also saying 7 hours ago, Al Hilal are prepared to make a first offer of, I hate when they do this, but they switched it to 100 million euros, which I believe is 80 million pounds, to Manchester United for Bruno Fernandes. And 6 hours ago, Fabrizio came out and said, Al Hilal are prepared to pay a crazy transfer fee for Bruno Fernandes. They are ready to match what United could ask. It depends on Bruno and the club to decide now. And that had me watering out of the mouth. Because, I mean, I read that and I started to get real greedy because, I mean, I think maybe Fabrizio is over embellishing a little bit, or just exaggerating a bit, because I think there probably is somewhere where they won't pay, but when you write it as Al Hilal are prepared to pay a crazy transfer fee for Bruno Fernandes, they're ready to match what United could ask. I'm sitting there and I'm like, I'm kind of feeling like a kid, making a Christmas list. Kind of just like kids like 8-year-olds, 7-year-olds, they make a Christmas list, they put about 45 things on it. They're not going to get 45 things, but I started thinking and I was like, well, we are about $1 billion in debt, so maybe we should ask them for $1 billion, so that we can actually pay the 500 million of the debt of the Glazer off, and we can actually also pay about 300 million of the transfer debt that we owe. And then also we would have money left over to add to the transfer budget, and then we could rebuild. And maybe while we're at it, I mean, since they got money, since they're ready to match what United could ask, we might as well ask them for 2 billion so we could actually build the stadium with that money as well. That might be nice, but no, I'm joking. Obviously, I think it's a little bit exaggerated. I think obviously they won't pay over a certain price, but I think they are kind of, they're really, they're really, really interested. And this is what I was just saying before. I mean, they're quite clearly heavily interested. They really, really want Bruno Fernandes. And for that matter of the fact, we shouldn't just, if they offer us 100 million pounds, United shouldn't just be like, okay, thank you, and be kind of soft about it. I mean, the story coming out of the football club is United aren't really that interested in selling Bruno, but it's hard to turn down the 100 million. Ruben Amorim is against it. We're going to get into that. He's made some comments. He's made previous comments as well, but he's made more comments today, kind of, in a professional manager way without directly saying it, and kind of, going completely against the club in what they're thinking. He's made it quite clear that he's not really interested in selling Bruno Fernandes. It's got many people questioning and asking, what does Ruben, what does he plan to do, or what does he know something that we don't know? Because I think we're all aware. I mean, us and Ruben himself. I think we're all aware that we have to rebuild, and when we lose European football and we lose 100 million, you could get 100 million from Bruno Fernandes and rebuild the rest of the squad. But I mean, I don't know if it's stubbornness and he really believes that he's actually that important, that it's not worth 100 million for the rest of the squad. But I can't really see that, considering that one man ain't gonna do it for us. He's not gonna do it for us, not at this current state. So I can't see that being the case. But I wonder if he knows something else where he's like, we actually don't really probably need to sell Bruno, and I want to use him. But we'll get to that, because there was some updates about that. Fabrizio also followed up by saying, if the agent of Bruno Fernandes is going there, it clearly means Fernandes is open to listening, but he has not told United he wants to leave, which I think is fair. I mean, again, he's not, I don't think he clearly hasn't made a decision yet, as far as we know. I mean, obviously, if he was completely 100% against it, his agent wouldn't be traveling there. At the same time, they do know that it could be a very good offer, so there's a lot kind of on the table, and maybe Bruno doesn't really want to go, but maybe Bruno's agent kind of told him, listen, let me just go there and see what they offer. It doesn't mean anything. We shouldn't maybe turn this down. We should just, play it out and see what it is. And then you could make your decision on that. And maybe that's what happened, because maybe Bruno's agent is doing his job, because that's what the job entails when you are an agent. So, but for Fabrizio Romano also saying the clear message from Ruben Amorim is that Bruno Fernandes has to stay. In the next hours, his agent will be back from Saudi, and there will be a conversation to decide. That was 5 hours ago. So I assume we're probably going to get some type of update, probably rather soonish. If we didn't get it yet, it's probably coming today. Sky Sports also reporting Al Hilal are willing to pay £100 million to sign Bruno Fernandes. And I want to get the quotes that Ruben Amorim said after the exhibition match that we played today against Hong Kong, which, by the way, thankfully, at least we won that one, 3-1. And how good was it to see Cheeto score 2 goals, But this was Amorim in the post-match press conference. He was asked if it's Bruno Fernandes' last game. He repeated the question by saying Bruno Fernandes' last game? Question mark? I don't think so. Nobody knows. I think he wants to stay. Al Hilal money difficult for the club to refuse? Question mark. We can find another way to make money, he said. Ruben. That's his direct quote on this. And that's why people are like, well, yes, we technically can, because me and Box spoke about it yesterday. And Box listed off a bunch of players and how much we could probably get around, somewhere around, what we could get for them. And how much that would be. So, I mean, he's not technically wrong. We technically can find another way to make money, because we do have a good amount of players that we need to sell. My argument was to Box about that was, right now it seems like we're stuck, though. Right now it seems like maybe we had 30 million for Delap, but we can't go and, I mean, we're interested in Mbuemo, but we haven't gone in for him, and I think that's because we don't have the money. And we also lost Delap, so now we need to shift towards a different target in striker. And as far as I know, the ones that we've been linked to, I mean, they're more expensive than Delap, so we're going to need more money than the 30 million that we had for Delap. So it seems like we're in a position right now where we already can't move because we don't have money. And this Bruno offer is pretty much right on the table. And if you accept this Bruno offer, you get 100 million, and you can use that immediately. Because I think the Rashford deal is going to take a bit. Real Betis, there's an update about it. Apparently, they're coming to Manchester United to hold negotiations, but they want a loan, so that doesn't help with the money situation. There's been things about Rasmus, but there hasn't been anything really, really that concrete following it up. Just basic interest and a little bit of paper talk around it. Sancho, we're going to get 25 million for. It seems that way. And then we still have to wait and sit around for Alvaro to go to, Madrid, and maybe Greenwood goes somewhere and we get money from that. But it's a lot of sitting around and waiting, especially for a club that is already less attractive than many other clubs out there. And we're already missing targets because we're not in Champions League football. Can we afford to sit around and wait while other clubs have the freedom to move because they're not financially restricted? And maybe we miss out on a target that we actually could get regardless of Champions League football. But because we don't have the money And because other clubs can move faster than us, then maybe we end up missing out on them because, you know, I don't really expect any of these players to sit around and wait for Manchester United to figure out their finances. It's not fair to them, and you know they should be able to do what they want in that aspect. But Ben Jacobs also was saying that if Al Hilal bids, Bruno Fernandes is likely to leave. If United gets contacted, it means Bruno has already agreed. It's up to the player now. He also said, Ben Jacobs, Al Hilal are not dismissing the fact that they could break the British transfer record to sign Bruno Fernandes. I mean, that's huge. That's absolutely huge. Amorim also said a little bit more on Bruno. He said, I talked to him, and when you talk to someone, you feel if he wants to stay. He knows what we're doing. Every time I talk to him, I have the feeling he wants to continue, but you never know. Which I think is real. You know, I think it's a pretty just standard fair response. He believes that he wants him that he wants to stay. I think Amorim is kind of, you know, putting it out there publicly, like, especially with that last quote, pretty much saying like, no, I definitely want this guy to stay. So, you know, if he leaves, you know, it's not from me. This is coming from the club. But like, I view him as one of the most important parts of the project and for next season, and he wants to keep him. So there's a little bit of a discrepancy going on inside of the club because, I don't know, United are playing a bit of games. You get you get a couple stories from that it seems like the club is briefing journalists saying that, you know, United have no interest in getting rid of Bruno. But then at the same time, they also come out with news that United don't want to sell Bruno, but it's hard to turn down 100 million. I mean, and then you have Ruben saying, I definitely don't want to sell him. So clearly, somewhere up in the hierarchy, there's a couple people, whether it's Wilcox, Barada, whoever it is, there's a few people there that they clearly think that they should absolutely be taking the 100 million. Some of them maybe are not so sure, and Ruben is definitely against it because he values Bruno important to his team and his project and doesn't want to get rid of him. I think we just got some more updates as well. I'm sorry because I got to scroll through the internet to find this stuff. So, Chris Wheeler 2 hours ago says Al Hilal have given Bruno Fernandes 1 week to decide before they walk away from the deal. I mean, it's funny because, you know, yesterday was sort of the deadline, and they were saying that he was supposed to like give them an answer. It's now apparently they're giving him like another week to decide. So we're gonna have to do, I guess, another week of this. Although maybe it won't last that long if he decides that he wants to, you know, leave and stuff like that. So, but let's get to the chat and see what the chat is saying. Oh, Lions has become a member of the RDE VIP section. I love it. Thank you, Lions. Appreciate it very much. And Lyle's sent 5 Red Devil Experience gift memberships. Big up Lyle, man. Big up Lyle. That's amazing. Now we could use emojis, and all that stuff. So that's awesome. Shout out Lyle, man. Absolute legend. Absolute legend. And you guys are the first 5 members of the channel, which is quite fitting as OGs. So, but let me go to the beginning of the chat because I did not have you guys on my screen and I was reading the internet. So, let's see what's going on. Lyle says, hey, Eric and all you Reds. Well, shout out Lyle. We know you're here because you made a big drop already. Samuel Mark Ingram says, Alex Ferguson sold Andre Kanchelskis, Mark Hughes, Paul Ince. He did. He also got rid of Beckham. And he also got rid of quite a numerous amounts of players. I mean, he got rid of Van Nistelrooy as well. He sold loads and loads of players. Now, we were probably in a different sort of maybe period when some of those transfers happened, but um yeah, I mean, for me, the people that are here every day, they know very much well where I stand. I love Bruno Fernandes. I think he's our best player. I think he's been our best player, our best signing post Sir Alex Ferguson. He's definitely been our most impactful for sure. I mean, just go look at the goals assist ratio over the last 6 seasons. It's literally the most consistent United player in that aspect post Sir Alex Ferguson signing. But I always said after we lost the Europa League and we didn't get into Champions League, I always said that there has to be sort of repercussions or ramifications that are going to come out of this thing because we're losing 100 million and we're not getting in the Champions League. And I feel like this is one of them because I think if we were in the Champions League and we had that money, I don't think we would have a problem right now. We could literally tell Al-Hilal no, absolutely not. And we're not going to listen to any offer. We could have kept Bruno and we could have just done what we had to do with whatever we got from sales and from the Champions League and stuff like that. But because we lost, I think now you at the very least it has to be strongly considered to sell Bruno Fernandes, because I understand the concerns of some people saying, what happens if we sell him because he's our best player? How do you replace him and stuff like that? But it's like, if we don't have a team, I just don't understand how we're supposed to actually perform. Because I do feel like at the moment, and it's not Bruno's fault, but I do feel like we're very much a one-man team. My father says this a lot, and he always says, if Bruno plays like shit, then we play like shit. He sort of gets angry at Bruno about it, but I'm like, but I always tell him it's not Bruno's fault, because to me that just means that we really don't have a team. Like, if Bruno can't play good and the rest of the team then can't play good, that means that we are a one-man team. And it's not Bruno's fault, because Bruno's just a player and he just came here to play football. It's the people that have been in charge of our football club and are in charge of our football club, because we clearly just never built the squad correctly. So, Box is here, says, yo, Eric. Temeskin is here, says, United want Gyokeres, Danny Munoz, Simmons, Mbuemo, Sane, Osimhen to United is better for next season, please. Well, we got to figure out how to get some money first, Temeskin, to get these players. I don't know. We can't afford any one of them right now at the current moment in time. Box says Ferguson sold Kanchelskis Hughes Ince because he had a one of youth generation in the class of 92 plus. He already had Schmeichel, Irwin, Bruce, Pallister, Keane, Cantona, McLaren, etc. Yeah, it was different. We have no one else like that right now. Well, that is the gamble, but I'm gonna be quite honest, Box. Here's my thing. I fully understand what you're saying, and it's 100% genuine, and it's 100% like valid. I get it. But my head just keeps doing this sort of ping pong thing where it's like, well, we keep Bruno and we get effed off for signings because we don't have the money. Maybe we miss out a bunch, and maybe we do end up selling players, but there's problems in paradise right now. I mean, there's a story about Rashford coming out that apparently Barcelona don't want to pay for Marcus Rashford. They want to buy him on loan. Well, if Rashford sits here all summer long and refuses to go anywhere else and refuses to accept any offer until we accept the Barcelona loan offer, I mean, we're kind of screwed, because we're not going to take him back. It doesn't make sense in that place. It's not like we're going to keep him. So there's a potential that it gets dragged out all summer for us to be last minute loan him out, because it would just be a waste to keep him. So we might not get, we might not get money for Rashford, right now when we need it, or in this summer, or it might take a really long time to get it. Anthony, there's also a problem in terms of that Real Betis are looking for a loan with performance-based incentives for next season, or an obligation to buy, right? So that's two of the players, you would say 40 million each. That's 80 million that we already can't use because we don't know what's going to happen and how long this is going to take. Now, obviously, I expect Anthony to go in some way, one way or another. I don't know about Marcus. I'm worried about that. Rasmus, there's been talk, but there hasn't been anything like real concrete as of yet. So we got to see if there's anything actually in there or not. The only money we're getting right now is Sancho, pretty much. And then probably soon, maybe Alvaro Fernandes. I mean, I don't know what's going on with that transfer. I haven't heard any updates per the last time, you know? So, we'll see. Box is making 150 million. Grace is also part of the RDE VIP section now. That's because Lyle gifted 5 memberships. So, again, shout out Lyle. And now, actually, because Lyle did that, and because we have more members, I can add in more of the emojis that Lyle created as well. So, you know, you have your 4. Grace hitting her Delo emojis. I was waiting for that one. She hit all the emojis, to be fair. But, yeah, I mean, yeah, we got more coming. So now that we have more members, they allow me to put more, emojis. So I'll upload those for the next stream, for sure. Box says, Al Nassar want Garnacho. We better not be entertaining any 40 million bids. I want 100 million plus bids. Pay up Saudis. Well, I mean, yeah, we should be pushing them. Listen, you know, we should be doing to them what other clubs used to do to us. I mean, it was kind of our own fault, but at the same time, everybody knows that they're super, super rich. Everybody knows they got money to blow. You know, we should be trying to get the most money. We shouldn't just be like, you know, they shouldn't just pull up and be like, here's 50 million for Garnacho. And we'd be like, okay, thank you very much. And then we just walk away. You know what I mean? We'd be like, nah, give us 70, give us 80. You know, go high, go super high. Let them put in a second bid and lower it. And then maybe you could kind of accept it. So Box says 100 million to buy 1.25 Hoyland or Sancho. Grace says, I'm 34 today. Can you sing happy birthday to me in Portuguese, please? Well, I can't sing it in Portuguese because I don't know Portuguese, but happy birthday, Grace. And I will say, happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to Grace. Happy birthday to you. I could sing it in English. That's the best I could do for you. But yeah, happy birthday, Grace. Box says you'll never sing that. Hong Kong winners, you'll never sing that. That's right, that's true. 11 Hong Kongs walk into a bar. Oh boy. Rajat has received the gifted membership by Lines. It's a, you know, that's awesome, amazing. Going on here. All the OGs are getting memberships. It's a good time to see. Shout out Lines for that as well. Amazing things. Amazing things. Lots of memberships. Must be Eric's birthday. Not yet. Not yet. My birthday's in August. My birthday's in August. But it is Friday. It is Friday. I'm confused. Wait, what happened? I got the card working. Wait, was that an accident? Ah, you're welcome, Rajat. Hey, we got some other members as well. Liars gifted. Did you gift more than 5? Or did you gift them to random people? I don't know what's going on. I'm really behind. Per Liu, Scott, Abdullah Irwin, Alex Roche, and The World's End have all received gifted memberships by Lyle Wilson. So, welcome. Welcome. Grace says, wait till I increase the chat on these memberships. I mean, this is amazing. I wasn't expecting this. You guys are amazing. You guys are amazing. You guys are amazing. You guys are you guys are going crazy. Eric, I became a member first, just saying. Well, it's about time, Grace. No, I'm just kidding. So, oh yeah, I was first. Delo is our best signings. You know what? You know what, Grace? To be fair, it didn't pop up on the top, and that's probably because you were first and it timed out. So I apologize, Grace. Grace was first, everybody. Grace was first. Delo is our best signing. Wesley Hall, I can see that sarcasm is rift with you, Grace. Yeah, I mean she comes a lot. She comes with a lot of it. You know, if you don't know her, you can mix it up quite well, and take her seriously. Or is she being serious? You know, that's how good she is. We never actually really know. Lyle says, drop a like, subscribe, and get in the Discord. Yeah, we have a Discord as well. I'll pin that message from Lyle. So we can, you know, if you want to join the Discord, great Discord. Lots of channels in there. Some non-United related stuff in there as well. So it's not all United, but it is mainly United. And we have good conversations, and we keep you updated when we're not live. We give you the transfer news, any updates by Fabrizio or any of the big journalists. We send them in there, the best we can. So yeah, you know, get in there, join it up. Wesley Hall says Mount on a Shaw, Delo, fire sales needed. Well, the problem with that is, I think Ruben doesn't want to sell Mount. I think he likes Mount, so I would take Mount right off the table. Even though you might want to sell him, Wesley. You know, I don't think there's anything for Mount at all. Onana, there could be something, but the goalkeeping situation is quite weird, and I don't know exactly what we're doing. Are we going for number one? Or are we going for number two? I don't think they know themselves, to be quite honest. Because I don't know. I think they would sell Onana if they get a decent deal, but I don't know if they know if there is a decent deal to do. So, you know, and then Shaw, nobody's buying Shaw. I mean, nobody would even take Shaw. Not even if we took Shaw and dropped him off, you know, at some club's doorstep. I mean, they would just return to sender. We would literally have to pay a club a transfer fee for them to take Luke Shaw because of his injury record. So, I mean, Shaw is... We can't rely on selling Shaw at all. And Delo, I mean, Grace ain't gonna like you for that one. But, you know, I like Delo, and I don't think actually we should be selling him. I think he actually fits what Ruben is looking for. And actually, I think he has quite good crossing, and I think he can play that right wing back position good. And I'd like to actually see him get a little bit more forward. He scored a goal. He scored a couple goals here and there. I think he can get more. I think he has the ability to do it, so I wouldn't do it. Grace has sent one Red Devil Experience a gift membership as well, and that was received by Muhammad Ali. So shout out Grace for that as well. Lots of giving, lots of gifting today in the show. I love it. I love it. Good vibes, amazing vibes on a Friday. You guys are just absolutely legends. Where's Mohammed? Different Mohammed. Lawrence Burry says, hola, a better footy performance today, but kind of depressed about the overall situation. I mean, yeah, I'm gonna be quite honest. I wasn't able to catch it because I was at work and, you know, I couldn't watch the game. I did see the one Cheeto goal. I didn't get a chance to see the other two goals we scored. And I'll probably watch it back later tonight on like MUTV or something when they show it and just check it out. But I mean, yeah, I mean, the overall situation isn't great. We got to figure out what we're doing. And nobody really knows. Grace said, stop singing. You asked me to sing, Grace. You know I can't sing. I did it out of the kindness of my heart because it's your birthday. And then you tell me to stop singing. Abdullah Irwin says, big up this channel. Well, big up yourself. Welcome to the VIP section. Grace said, I paid for my own. You absolutely did. Lyle says, gifted members are random. Yeah, my bad. I mixed this shit up with Twitch. You know, it happens. It happens. Whatever. But shout out to everybody that's gifted, and shout out to everybody that is a member. How about that? We'll just make it easier. Don't laugh at me. I'm just trying to read what's on the screen. I don't know what's going on, you know? Box is laughing at me. Don't laugh at me, Box. Alright, where are we? Members are green, so the mods should be yellow. Well, yeah. Can we change that? Good point, Lines. Green and yellow. Abdullah Irwin says Casemiro, Onana, Binder, Shaw, Garnacho, Bruno also might sold my opinion. Well, yeah, I think there's a fair list. Like, I think everybody sort of would say like they would if they could, we would sell Cass. Most people would sell Casemiro. Most people definitely would sell Onana. Some people would sell Bienda. I've seen some people say that maybe they'd give him an actual chance. Not for me though. I think that he ain't good enough for the first position either. I don't think he has the qualities. Obviously, mostly everybody would get rid of Luke Shaw, except for Lions, because he loves him. And it's not because I want to get rid of him because I hate him. It's just he's so injury prone that we literally can't keep him. If I had my way, though, I would just, wave a magic wand and make him injury prone, and then I would just keep him. But, that's not going to happen. And then obviously there's Garnacho, Bruno as well. And I think out of that, Abdullah, basically on that list, I don't think Cass is going to go anywhere. And like I said about Shaw before, I just think it's literally impossible for Shaw to go anywhere. I don't think anybody would take him. There's obviously Bruno that may very well go. I think Garnacho is pretty much gone. It's just a matter of time. And then between Onana and Binder, depending on what happens, if we can't get a good offer for Onana, maybe we get rid of Binder and we get somebody that is a second that can actually take Onana's position and stuff like that. But if we do get a decently good offer for Onana and we tell him bye bye, and then we actually get another first option goalkeeper. So Grace is in the super chat as well. Grace says I have money now. That's how. Grace says they understood that memberships are mandatory. Yes, they did. Yes, they did. Once Grace makes the declaration of something in here, you really have no choice. So, love it. Love it. Has Axe clocked off for preseason? He might have. He might be here watching, though. Oh, he's here. There he is. Axe says, our team is shambles. We need to win big. Until then, I will be silent. Kaboom. Okay, fair enough. Fair enough. If that's what you choose to do, Axe. I mean, we still like you to share your opinions. But if you choose to stay silent, you can. It's all right. You got to do what you got to do, but where's my Shaw sticker? Well, maybe put a request into Lyle. I mean, he's the one that makes these things. So, that's your buddy over there. He's in charge of these things. He's made all these stickers, by the way. He's made all these emojis. So, Grace says Rasmus is better than Van Persie. Fight me if you disagree. Grace is in a mood today. Grace is in an absolute mood today. Axe wave if you're still here. Blink twice. Blink twice, Axe, if you're still here. If you're being held against your will, blink twice, Axe. We'll help you. He's crawling into a tub of ice cream. Well, he might have a toasty, too. I have the power. Shaw emoji? No. Well, there you go. I mean, you asked and you were denied, so no Shaw emoji. Not allowed. Not allowed. Lion says, are we going to find out after 2 weeks of him signing that he has blue Peter knees held together with sticky back tape and You've lost me there. I hope not. I hope not. But there's some more news. So, if you got questions or you got thoughts or opinions on not what I'm really talking about, throw them in there. Because it is Friday freestyle and you guys get to direct the show. But I just want to jump back real quick because there's a couple points that we do need there's a couple things that we do need to hit. Because they are actually important. So once I find my spot, and here we go. So just a couple of the other important updates. It's not a lot, so don't worry. But we did all the Bruno stuff. I gotta kind of go back and jump on the other things that I skipped over. So one of the things that we got was I don't know about this source, Mateo Gonzalez. He's followed by Fabrizio Romano, so maybe he is actually a decently good journalist. I believe he's a Spanish journalist. Reported about 10 hours ago, Real Betis will travel to England, and this is what I was talking about, next week to negotiate a new loan for Anthony. Betis' plan is to add performance-based clauses for an option or obligation to buy. Again, that doesn't necessarily, that doesn't help our situation. Like, if we don't have money, we can't be accepting a loan for Anthony, and we can't be accepting a loan for Rashford when everybody's been literally making lists talking about, yeah, we're going to get 40 million for Anthony, we'll get 40 million for Rashford, that's 80 million, you get 25 for Sancho, that's 105, and then, there's a big chunk of money, 80 million, that we might not be able to use for this transfer window specifically, because Betis won a loan and Barca won a loan. And then, it depends on the player as well. It's not really great right now. Hopefully some things turn around. There was a big positive update though. If you guys want anything about, Steph's here. Hey, Steph. We spoke about Victor Gyokeres yesterday. It was the big kind of chat of the show yesterday. Obviously, the news came out. Arsenal apparently pursuing Sesko, and Chelsea have gotten Delap. So it left many United fans kind of sitting there saying, so what does this mean for Gyokeres? And many people hoping and holding out hope that, well, now that we've missed out on Delap, but not according to the club, because apparently Gyokeres has always been our dream signing all of a sudden. Even though apparently they were saying for weeks that Delap was the number one target, but now because we haven't gotten him, now Gyokeres was always the dream signing. Where does Dream get ranked? So Dream is above first in the ranking. But Fabrizio gave us an update about Victor Gyokeres and said Manchester United will make a decision on their priority target for the striker position soon. The dream has always been Victor Gyokeres, but it will be difficult without UCL football. So, it's not the strongest of updates, but I find it quite confusing because it feels like Fabrizio has put out that piece of information, but that information sounds like somebody at the football club has directly contacted Fabrizio Romano to tell him this, because how the wording of it, where he says United will make a decision on their priority target for the striker position soon. That statement literally means that the lap was never the priority target and that we never actually made a decision on it. Which, either they were lying to us before and it was false, or they're lying now. Pick whichever one you want, but for weeks they've been saying, the lap Gyokeres, a little bit of Osimhen. They tell you about the lap. They keep telling you the club have said that, the lap is the number one target for sure, number one priority. They come with a story saying Ruben Amorim definitely really wants Gyokeres. He wants him the most. And everybody kind of understood it that way. Fabrizio coming out and saying that United will make a decision on their priority target for the striker position soon is literally the wording of we actually never... The lap was never our priority target, and we actually never made a decision on it, which I just feel like that's a bunch of horseshit. But because it just seems kind of PR-ish because we lost out to Chelsea for Delap. So now they've given Fabrizio, because Fabrizio is the most credible and he's one of the most respected, right? Somebody at the football club has called Fabrizio and told him this piece of news and worded it in this way for him to kind of repeat. so that it looks like, well, we didn't actually really miss out on Delap, because we actually always wanted Gyokeres, and we were always going to go for Gyokeres. We were considering Delap, but he wasn't really our priority target, you know, so we didn't really miss out on nothing. You know, he wasn't our main guy. Yeah, I think it's a load of bullshit. I think that we have definitely, I think the club and Jason Wilcox would definitely they definitely put in a bid. They definitely were trying to get Liam Delap immediately, and they clearly lost that, and now they have to cover their own ass. And that's what's going on. Steph says 16 likes and 23 watching. That's right. We should have the same amount of likes. So let's run it up. 17 likes now, I see. Thank you, Steph, for that update. I'm gonna jump back into the chat in a minute. I see you guys are saying a lot. But just give me a second, because I wanna just bring up these two topics once I find them. So Ben Jacobs said Manchester United and Newcastle are the main suitors for Brian Mbuemo. So, I mean, we definitely have interest in Mbuemo, but I just, the fact that we're not moving, again, just tells me we don't have the money to do that deal. Or maybe they're trying to short out the striker first before they do that. But I mean, you know, if it's identified that you're getting a striker and you're getting another number 10, then, you know, why wouldn't you just go for the one that you can go for, I guess? Which makes me think that we can't actually go for anybody at this current moment in time, because we just don't have the money, which isn't good. Ben Jacobs also said that if United really wanted to make a statement number 9 signing, Victor Gyokeres would be more viable than Victor Osimhen. So battle of the Victors. But yeah, Gyokeres has always been my number 1 target and my number 1 choice. You know, I was thinking about that, and I don't really give personal preferences like that in terms of sort of, you know, like other people do, where they start listing off and they say, I go get this player, this player, this player, and this player. I kind of just go off of whoever is, you know, associated with the club, or, you know, named with the club that seems to be a target. I kind of just go off of that and give my opinion off of that, because, I don't know. I mean, maybe people find it fun or whatever. I mean, you know, to each their own. I'm not judging or anything, but to me, it's just like, it's a bit of a waste of a time to like be making lists and talking about we should be getting, you know, some player we've never been mentioned with, because it's just, it's not going to happen, you know? So I kind of just go with whoever we're linked with. Another update that from Ben Jacobs is that Manchester United like João Garcia, Lions guy, but he wants a starting position. Some clubs doubt he's ready for that step. Well, Lions has said to us before that he does believe that he can be a starter. According to Ben Jacobs, some clubs don't think he's ready for that yet. And I don't know, maybe we do get him. Maybe we get him as a 1, maybe we get him as a 2. Depends what he wants to accept, and depends how far we're going to take that. Amorim just had a little quote on Aiden Heaven, said he has proven in every match that he is ready. So he also had... Ben Jacobs said that Estupiñán is a name United have inquired about, the left wing back role. So, I mean, he's not that bad. He's not necessarily a bad option. How old is he? Isn't he quite? I mean, he's not like 33 or anything, but he is. He's not young, is he? Or am I thinking of somebody else? One of the other updates as well is that Ruben Amorim has made it clear to Favel and Wilcox that he wants another attack-minded midfielder, either an advanced center mid or an attacking number 10 with good output. I think that's quite clear, which is why we're being linked to, you know, Mbuemo and stuff like that. This was what Box bring up before from Ben Jacobs, saying Garnacho is a name on Al Nassr's list should they fail to sign Diaz. So, I mean, I guess if you're hoping for the most money because Garnacho's going to go, then you want them to fail signing Luis Diaz from Liverpool. Let me jump back into the chat. Grace wants me to do a poll. Is Nunez, Hoyland, or Jackson? Who's the worst? I mean, we could do it. We could do the poll. Since you asked, Grace, and it is your birthday, of course, so we definitely got to do it now. So let me do it. Oh, I mean, I don't really. I'm not gonna frame it in that way though, Grace, because I don't really like that. So I'm just gonna say who who is better. I mean, it's still the same. You know, either way. Um, Grace calling him Mbuemo, or Jackson, right? Jackson. Start poll. All right, Grace's poll is there. So if you guys want to vote, I said who is better. Um, so yeah, you could go vote on that. And we'll get back to that. Lost my spot in the chat. Here we go. Yeah, Grace says 7 people haven't liked Show Yourself, You Scrubs. That's right. Grace will come find you and she will call you out. So you better just like so you can just avoid it. You don't want to deal with Grace when she gets angry. You don't want to get on Grace's bad side. It's not worth it. Just like the video and you're good. You're fine. Don't worry about it. Steph says, why worry about money? Nobody else does, and paying up front is unusual nowadays anyway. I mean, I missed a couple of your statements there. Box says, holy shit. All right. Box said MUFC players have not been subjected to a curfew on this trip. Xerxes walked over the road from team hotel into the Thai restaurant one night, having been unimpressed by the room service options. Yeah, I mean, listen. I don't think that's like necessarily a problem, Box. I mean, you know, maybe for some other situations. I could be wrong, but kind of the way and the update that I saw, I mean, like, listen, the players don't really want to be there. I mean, I don't think Ruben really wants to be there. I think anybody that's there, maybe barring, you know, some of the youngsters because they get to play, you know, some of the kids, but everybody else, you know, I don't think Ruben necessarily wants to be there, but he's doing a job and he's there, and it's part of his responsibility, I guess, since he is the manager of the football club. But you know, everybody knows why we're there. We know why we're there. The players know why they're there, and Ruben knows why he's there, and it's for the 8 million pounds because we need money and we need to make money. So I don't think it's like that big of a deal that there was no curfew because I'm gonna be quite honest. At this point, I mean, it feels like we're pimping out the club a bit, and the players actually, after what just happened, I mean, some of them they need a permanent holiday and not come back to this football club. But in reality, I mean, after what everybody's just gone through, and nobody, you know, we didn't even really want to watch them. They didn't even really want to be there and play. Today they were better though, and they actually took it a bit more seriously. They should kind of be on vacation with their families or whatever. At this point in time already. So I mean, I wouldn't necessarily restrict the curfew, um, for this trip, but it could be wrong. It could be wrong. Grace says, he's 184 centimeters. He's Portuguese. He's better than Yamal. It's Diogo Dalot. Ole, ole, ole. Boxes Ahmad and Alejandro Garnacho hired some scooters and whizzed around the city. Did they really, though? Is this for real? Where are you finding this? A few players went out to a nightclub after they arrived in Kuala. That's probably wrong, but I don't care. Lumpur on Monday night, accompanied by security staff. Well, at least they're having a good time, I guess. Some players had a drink in the hotel bar after the loss to I'm gonna pronounce this wrong as well, but Asian, Asian, All Stars staff joined in too. Bruno Fernandes told them that he would pay for their drinks all night, and he did. Well, that's a good captain. Um, yeah, Steph says decision making is not a United hierarchy strength worrying statement. I mean, listen, if it was like during the actual season or whatever, or once like when we go to do the actual preseason tour, like if we go to America, like they obviously clearly shouldn't be doing that. And then I would be worried, but this is kind of just like I let it slide because it's like nobody really wants to be there. And you know what? If we are gonna go, I think maybe they didn't do the curfew thing, box actually, because maybe they were like, you know what? Maybe we just got to make it a little bit better for them in terms of that they don't really want to go there. It's important to get the money. And I mean, obviously they want to see, like, not seeing the fans or anything like that. It's just the fact that we've had the worst season and they just wanted it to be over. And the club set up something for them to go play 2 matches. So maybe they were like, listen, we're gonna send you over there. We know it sucks, but we actually do need this money. When you go over there, you have like some freedom. You can, kind of relax a little bit. We just pretty much they were just like, we just need to go over there to get paid. Um, we just need to go over there and get paid. Okay, what are you guys saying now? Need Gakpo off from pool. Um, yes, it's Grace's birthday, so everybody say happy birthday. She's 20 today. Absolutely. Elijah says Hoyland is the worst. All right. Fox says it's good to see the players sampling some authentic local cuisine, in my opinion. Yeah, I mean, why not? Especially, like I just said, like going there. I mean, for me, in my opinion, we shouldn't even really be over there at this point in time, not in general. Like, yeah, we should be going all over the place because there's millions, there's hundreds of millions of our fans around the world, so we should be and being one myself, one that lives in New York and one that lives in America, and not being able to just kind of have an easy trip to go to Old Trafford, or not having the availability to do so, in terms of like maybe I can't necessarily take off of work and stuff like that. uh it's quite good that when they come over here, because it gives you an opportunity to go watch them, and it is actually it's special for people that they don't have the chance to go to Old Trafford and watch the games and stuff. I know it's not the same because obviously Old Trafford's Old Trafford, and it's a different atmosphere and it's a different feeling, but it's still good to see, to be able to actually have an ability to go to your local stadium. Mine's an hour away from me, where I watched them last time, and it's just it's something that it feels kind of special, because it's like you don't really have this opportunity, you don't have this chance to do these sorts of things, because they're on the other side of the pond, and they come here and you get to watch them, and it's cool, it's a good experience. So but for the moment that we're in, after what we just had, I mean, the least they could do is let them kind of have like, go out, go couple places, don't get in trouble, but like just behave yourselves, but have some freedom. I think it's the least that the club could do for them, since they dragged them halfway, 14-hour flight away. It's the least they could do, least that they could do. Grace is a millennial, yes she is. Radcliffe the chief PIMP. He's, I mean, he may very well be, the way the things are going. Grace said I'm 20 14 years ago. Nah, you're still 20. You're however old you want to feel like you are. How about that? It's just a number. Steph says back to the good old days. Might do better drunk. Yeah. Fox says they'll miss Bruno when he's gone. No one else to pay for the booze. Well, that is true. Although I mean, there was maybe one other player that might have done it, and it might have been Marcus Rashford. But I mean, if he's going too, I think there's no more booze for anybody. Um, you know, Line says 700,000 a week. Damn right, he's paying. Well, I mean, yeah. That's the money that's sitting on the table. I mean, he didn't get it yet, though. He didn't get it yet. He didn't go. Anyone seen Lucky? Did not. Did not see him. Maybe he's busy. Steph says, breaking news, Delo heartbroken if Bruno goes to Saudi, considering going there too, but has to ask Grace first. Well, yeah. I know there's a bit of banter in that, but actually I think Delo would probably be actually quite upset. Because they obviously they're both Portuguese, but they're actually good friends as well. They have been good friends for quite some time. And yeah, but at the end of the day, I think I wouldn't worry too much about Delo though, because I think Delo has the proper attitude and mentality. I think obviously he'll probably be like sad to see his friend go, and leave, but at the same time he'll understand. He'll understand. It's football. Things happen. Shit happens. But as for Grace, I mean, she'd be heartbroken if he goes to Saudi, or maybe she'll be relieved because maybe she's like, I don't have to watch United, and I could just go watch Delo. Especially if United are crap again, then I could just go watch Delo in Saudi Arabia. I have a name for the Saudi Arabian League, but I really don't know if I should say it. So I'm not gonna. You know what? I don't even know why I said that. Because the fact that I have to say if I don't know if I should say it probably tells me that I shouldn't say it. So I'm not gonna say it. Rajat Liverpool already had Firmino Salamani though. Wait, what? Like Bruno, but he's man us Coutinho maybe. I mean, yeah, and also I understand what Bach says. And they did have more players, but still I make the argument that for me, my brain does a little bit of ping pong. It's like if we can't sell and we can't get players and we miss out on targets, because we don't have the money and we keep Bruno and our transfer window is actually quite shit. We don't get in enough players, or we can't get in enough players. Because remember, I said we needed 5 signings, and this was before we lost. I've upped that shit to 7 after we lost because I just think the more the merrier. But I mean, I said 5. Most people agreed. They said, we could probably very well do with at least 4 or 5. If we struggle to get these players and we don't do a good job and we have Bruno, I can see it not being very good. I don't know if we would go as low as we would go, like as we've gone this season. You know what I mean? But it could fail. It could be very bad. At the same time, I could also see if you sell Bruno and then also you piss about with the money, or you don't spend it good, or you don't recruit properly, it could also go bad. So for me, it's just like, well, there's a potential that either way it goes bad. And then I think there's also a potential for either way for it to go good. So, I don't really. I think at this point, it's just like, why not just take a shot on selling him? Because the hope is that they actually recruit properly and use the money wisely. But I mean, they could just fuck it up. But if they keep Bruno, they can just fuck it up as well. So it's a bit of a it's a bit of a problem. Grace says, I'm Delo's wife and agent. Well, there you go. So are you gonna keep him here? Are you gonna keep him at Manchester United then? Grace. Steph says 23 likes. Yeah, shout out to all the people that liked. If you didn't like, make sure you do that. Lawrence Berry says Ruben wants to keep the Portuguese gang together, but Cunha can teach Brazilian to Delo. Casemiro still the Godfather too. Well, I mean, I know they speak like, well, they definitely speak Portuguese in Brazil, but I know it's like a different um sort of dialect. I mean, it's still considered Portuguese, but it's not like Portuguese, I guess. But they do speak Portuguese in Brazil. It's not actually, I mean, I guess, I don't know, it depends. I mean, if you ask a Brazilian, maybe they tell you they speak Brazilian. But it is actually Portuguese, so they should be able to just speak to each other and understand each other. And I know that because I have 3 Portuguese friends, and they can speak to Brazilian people, you know, like they speak English to people that speak English. You know, but I do think that well, obviously, I mean, he's obviously Portuguese, and no, but I actually I don't think it's about being Portuguese necessarily, because if you look at the targets that we're looking at, I mean, he's not trying to get any Portuguese players. We haven't been linked to any Portuguese player. There might be a player from the Portuguese league, but they're not even Portuguese. So I don't think anything really has to do with the Portuguese. I just think that if you look at a player like Bruno and you look at a player like Delo, again, like I think in terms of Bruno has skill and ability, but he also has this sort of mentality and attitude that he wants to win. He pushes very hard. He hates losing. And Delo is kind of similar in that sense, in that, like, Delo has a strong mentality and a good attitude as well. He plays for the team, and he has good ability as well. So I think those are just 2 players that he looks at, and he's like, they have all the characteristics I want, and it doesn't make sense for me to get rid of them, because that's 2 players that have all the characteristics I'm looking for to build a squad with. Meanwhile, we have a handful or more players that they don't have all the characteristics, so we don't really need them, but I need these guys. I think that's his whole thing. Ray says, let them enjoy it. End of a season to forget. I will have a drink to forget about it. I did it every game this year, says Ray. Yeah, I mean, might as well. It's the least they could do. United always making headlines for the wrong reasons. I mean, just for that fact, I mean, it was actually something that we didn't really talk about, but I don't know if you guys seen, like 2 days ago, or maybe it was like 2 days ago or 3 days ago or something like that. But, when we were like getting the Cunha, here we go. One of the outlets, I don't know if it was Sky, maybe it wasn't Sky, maybe it was somebody else, but, they put out a thing that apparently Cunha has walked the second most distance out of all the Premier League players in the Premier League. I forgot who was first. I think it was Virgil van Dijk was first. And, they put out this thing that Cunha is the second most player that walks the most in the Prem. And that's because we signed him. I mean, nobody ever mentioned that before. Nobody was talking about that when he was at Wolves. Nobody was going on TV and saying, talking about Cunha and saying, he's walked the second most. Nobody ever said that until he signed for us. And then also on the flip side, if you look deeper into the stats, he actually is one of the most active players in the Wolves system. So, I mean, the walking thing it doesn't mean anything, but it's just an example of how, like Steph says, United always making headlines for the wrong reasons. Sometimes the headlines are made for us, sometimes they're made for us. Sometimes it's not. Sometimes it's nothing to do with, like, Rajat says, yo, Brazilian is a nationality. It is. It absolutely is. Rajat says, we'll get potential final kit of Alejandro Garnacho. Well, I won't. I have one. I don't know if it's from this season or last season's kit. One or the other. And no. I have the one, and, it'll essentially be useless because he's not going to be here. So, Grace says, if Delo isn't the new captain, can I write another letter to little Jimmy? Well, I think you have to write the letter to Ruben. Little Jimmy ain't, or is little Jimmy, or Jimmy. No, you have to write the letter to Ruben. Not little Jimmy. Jimmy ain't doing nothing about it. Jimmy doesn't even know, what year it is. Maybe. Yorkshire says we need to take the money. United needs the finances for a rebuild. We can change the way we play, buying players to suit Amorim's system. That's sort of my thinking, and that's sort of my belief, Yorkshire, and kind of how I feel at the moment. I think it's a bit unfortunate if you like Bruno and you rate him as our best player. It is unfortunate. I don't deny that in any sort of sense. I'm not one of these people, because there are people out there that hate Bruno and they dislike him very much. There's one that usually is here. His name is Chad. He definitely doesn't rate Bruno at all, and he will be celebrating Bruno's leaving if Bruno actually does go. But yeah, I think we do. I think at the current situation of the club, they probably really can't refuse to take this. Now, according to Ruben, apparently we can. So I wish he could have been more specific. There's probably obvious reasons as to why. But I mean, if you take into consideration things that he said today, things that he said the other day, and also Omar speaking the other day, again, it's like the message from United, and maybe I don't know the answer. I don't know if they're reluctant to do it. I don't know if they're incompetent about it. I don't know if they're just cowards or, whatever it is. But the message that is coming out of United from Omar speaking and Ruben talking is one that it's mixed. It's one that's like they're not letting the fans know what is the clear-cut situation and direction, right? We get news reported by journalists that are getting sources, but we know that not everything can possibly be true. Some of it has to be bad or wrong information. Well, you go and figure out which one is which. At the same time, you then have Ruben making statements, and he's talking about FFP. I mean, just the other day, he just said, we need to change, or he said we're going to change things, but in the same sentence, he also said that we're limited by FFP, so we might not be able to change much. And then today he says, we can find money other ways. We don't have to sell Bruno. And it's like, what you're saying and what Omar said, it doesn't really make sense. You're going from one side to another. Like, I don't understand how Ruben can tell us we definitely need changes, which everybody agrees with, but then we'll also say we might not be able to do as much or a lot because we're restricted by FFP. Not FFP, whatever that shit is for the Premier League. You know what it is, PSR or whatever, right? We're restricted by that. Or maybe it is FFP now too as well. We're restricted by that, but there's literally an option on the table, Ruben. If you sell Bruno, you get unrestricted. So, and then he says we could get money in other ways. And I'm just like, well, what is it? Like, what are we doing exactly? Because a lot of it doesn't seem to make sense. Just saying nobody's listening, Eric teasing. Well, no, that was just my brain doing something stupid. I mean, as I was saying it, I was just like, I shouldn't even say this. Grace says, if Delo leaves us, you can put me on suicide watch. Well, I mean, obviously you'll be heartbroken, Grace, obviously, but we'll take care of you. Don't worry about it. That's a joke, everyone. You don't need to worry. I'll just eat some donuts. Well, that I did hope that that was a joke. I mean, I kind of took it as a joke. But yeah, don't worry, Grace. We'll take care of you, and we'll get you some donuts as well. You don't have to buy. You don't have to buy donuts. Yeah, Grace's birthday. Holy shit, you guys are going crazy. All right, Duncan DeLow. Oh, hey, oh, whoa, 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 whoa. Whoa, whoa, whoa! What's going on in here? Whoa. 24 likes, 28 watching. Yep. Bruno has big ears. Delo has everything else. Hey, I don't know. The chat is going wild. Andresito is here as well. Says those two players are also never injured. Vitinha and João Neves, you're saying. Well, I wanted João Neves. I think João Neves, the João Neves stream that we did last summer is still, to date, I think is still the largest video that we've done. The video we did yesterday, the live we did yesterday, came very close, but I don't think it surpassed it. But yeah, that João Neves one, that was huge, and I really wanted him. And you know what? I'll be fair. I mean, I don't know. You know, maybe he didn't want to come to us. But I think the one thing maybe Ineos messed up on was taking that money that we could have used to try and get João Neves and buying Ugarte for it. Because I don't, it's not like I hate Ugarte or whatever, but I always wanted João Neves, and I would take João Neves over Ugarte every single day of the week. And it was like, what we did was like, we took money, we gave it to PSG to use to buy for João Neves, and then I mean, they didn't need it, but you know what I mean. And then we opened up a spot, and then we took Ugarte, and it was like, but we should have just went directly for Neves. And maybe he didn't want to come to us, so maybe that's why we didn't do it. Or maybe they were just, you know, they got it wrong. They got it wrong. If Kango tried to sign Donnarumma, yeah, I don't think that's gonna probably happen, to be quite honest. At Yeri, Kangumba, if I say your name wrong, I apologize. I try to do my best. He says hi, or they say hi. Hi. Wants Guehi, Brian, Mbuemo, and Christian Fauna signed for Newcastle United, Ray. Oh. Okay. We should buy a couple Maltese players. They're very cheap. Oh. I mean, we might have to. At this point. Although that wouldn't be very good. That wouldn't go well. I mean, if you really want to get relegated, if you're really trying to get relegated, then let's buy a couple Maltese players, stick them in the squad. I mean, we'll be in, you know, Varma National North by next season. You know, we would be so bad that not only would they relegate us from the Premier League, but they'd also relegate us 3 leagues below the Premier League. That's how bad it would go. Steph says Cunha paces himself, will then jog on medium uppage. Yeah. Leaked kit. Yeah, there is a leaked kit out there. It looks pretty nice. I'll see if I could pull up the picture for you guys. Why is Jimmy called Little Jimmy? I don't know. Up to the person that calls him Little Jimmy, really. You can call. I guess you could call anybody whatever you want, really. To a certain extent. Especially if they're not here to tell you, don't call me that. So, Grace says Bruno's sale should get us 2 players. The sale of Garnacho and Rashford should get us another 2. Just sell players. Actually, Grace, the sale of Bruno Fernandes realistically, I think it could get us 4. I think it could get us 4 because if we do 4 deals where you amortize them over 5-year contracts, we should be able to do probably around 4 high quality ones as well in 4. And then Garnacho and Rashford, which would be around 40, maybe another 100 or so. You could actually probably do another like 3 or 4 probably, I would say. For sure. But the concern about that is also that, I mean, we don't know how much money. One of the concerns I have is, it's kind of what Box has been saying, but if we sell Bruno for 100 million, I mean, I just have a feeling that, considering Sir Jim and the Glazers, it's all about money. But Sir Jim is like penny pinching to try and, well, at least he says, to try and resort the finances out at Manchester United. The problem is, if we sell Bruno, there's no guarantee that either Sir Jim or the Glazers or anybody else in that sort of position of power won't be like, okay, we just got 100 million, but we need 30 million or 40 million. 30 or 40 million, we need it for this other shit at the club, so we're gonna allocate 60 million towards the transfer fund, but we're gonna have to take this 30 to 40 million for whatever other reason. And that's an issue, because obviously the whole point to sell these players is so that we can get the money to buy new players, because we need better players and we need newer players so that we can try and build something where we can actually succeed on the pitch, which will then in turn be making us more money if we keep it consistent as well. So where else are we? Yeah, we won a football match. Carlos says we got to keep Bruno, others need to go before him. See, and you're not the only one that holds that opinion. I mean, Box has been saying that for the past few shows, and I mean, it's not just you two. There's many people that say that. That's why I said in the beginning of the show, it's quite sort of a divisive topic, not in like, I guess, like a toxic fighting way, but it's just heavily divided in opinion. There's many people that think that United should absolutely accept it. There's people like you guys that are saying, there's other players, and I get that point, and I actually always said that. If you go and find any video from this channel, prior to losing the Europa League and not making Champions League, you will see me saying that same exact thing about Bruno, even when he wasn't doing good and people criticized him, and I said that's fair, you can criticize him, but I still considered him our best player, and if he ain't good enough, well, then what does that mean for the rest of the players at the team? Because if Bruno ain't good enough, and that's always my thing, like, if Bruno is shit, I mean, what is that? What's the level of the other players then? Because if Bruno's shit, then they're very shit, And if they're very shit, you do have to get rid of them. But my whole thing is, it's not just sell Bruno, because I would like them all to go. The other ones, they gotta go. But the point is, I think you could always sell them later on, especially if you get this money for Bruno, because at least we have some cash in our hand. We could go and spend it, which we can't do now. The number 69 says Rasmus over Jackson and Nunez is absolutely crazy. Is that what's going on? 27 votes, and it's actually super tight. I mean, Jackson's, who is better? 37% have voted for Jackson. Nunez is at 30%, and Rasmus is at 30%, 33%. So it's actually a very tight race. Rasmus is better than peak Michael Owen. Don't argue with me. Jimmy is called Little Jimmy because he has a little Jimmy, I've heard. Oh, well, all right. I don't know who you heard that from, and I don't know how they know, but all right. Fox a 70 million bid for Big Dom Calvert-Lewin. I mean, Why do you do this to me, Box? Why do you do this to me, Box? I there's something there that I want to say, and I don't even know what to say. I don't even know. There's an analogy there somewhere, and I can't even think of one. You know, I'd probably rather get Lukaku's Timberland boots and put them on Phil Jones, and put Phil Jones as striker. That wasn't good, but it's the best I could come up with. Lion says, well, we do have a player from Gibraltar, so a player from Malta might not be so far-fetched. No, it's definitely, definitely far-fetched. Carlos says, I think you're dreaming if you think we can get quality players to come to United. Well, not necessarily. Again, it depends by what you qualify as quality players. And there's different. I don't want to say level of quality players, but what I'm saying is like there's obvious ones, right? And those are the people that every single person knows. People would say Vinicius is quality, or Florian Wirtz is quality. And these are the more popular ones. But if your football club and the people in charge, like Jason Wilcox and stuff like that, if they're actually good at their job, they should be able to find quality that might be a little bit under the radar that you can still get in and does well in positions. Other clubs do that shit, and they're smaller than us. Why is Brighton able to do that? Why can Brighton go pick up a player for 5 million from the middle of South America, put them in the starting lineup, play in the Premier League, and then after one season, they're worth 80 million or they're worth 70 million? Why are they able to do that, and why can't we do that? I would like to see them do something to that effect. I think you have to, because it's part of the job, and I think you have to be able to do that sort of thing, because for situations like this, where you might miss out on top tier targets because we don't have the pull, and they might go to other clubs. But I think we can still get, if you do your job properly, which I don't know if they can do it, but I'm willing to give them the opportunity to show me if they can do it. They should be able to get, if we have money, they should be able to get some sort of quality types of players that we can actually use and that actually do fit the system. That's literally their whole job. Their whole job is to actually know these things and then make it happen. So, I'm not dreaming. I'm not saying it's going to happen. What I'm saying is, like, it can happen if they do what they're supposed to do. I'm very aware that it could easily not happen or not materialize. Ray says, I think Sister Island, Gojo, they cheaper. We can get 4 players. We could just, we might as well just go, I'd rather just use the youth at that point. Not even worth it. Lion says Higginbottom was much of a looker either, to be fair. Bless him. Grace says, guys, hear me out. What about Yaya Sanogo? Plays for Amazonas FC in Brazil. Who the hell? I don't even know who that is. Carlos says Rasmus needs to go. Well, we'll see if he goes. We'll see if he goes. You know what I mean? We'll see if he goes. Because we need somebody to, I guess, bid for him, and there was the talks about Inter Milan, and was it Napoli as well, and Juventus. So that was like last week. There hasn't really been any sort of furtherization after that. So I guess we just gotta see, you know what I mean? Ray says, I'm a scout. There's a striker at Bordeaux called Andy Carroll. Ericsson has left now, so we can bring him in. We can never bring him in. He wore a Liverpool shirt. He's not allowed. He's not allowed. Ray says Eric has some connections with Nador youngsters for Gozo. We can get the deal faster. I do. I do. Um, I do. I know some people there. And I can get it done. I can get it done. Gray says Christian Benteke. Think about it. Oh Jesus! Didn't he also play for Liverpool? Box says gets the vote. Get the votes in for Rasmus. It ain't happening. Ray says we need Nani and Rooney. I mean, I would take them now, as they are. Guys, we keeping everyone. We became a charity club. I don't think we are though. I don't think we are. I don't think we're keeping everyone. I think we're getting rid of whoever we can get rid of. I think unfortunately you have to accept, whether you like it or not, that there are some players that we can't actually get rid of because of the things we've done in the past and the contracts that were given to them that is out of the hands of literally everybody. You know, even if you walked in today and you were in charge, you have the only option you have is to rip up the contract, but it's really ineffective because all you're doing is losing money and you're not going to get money. You know, again, somebody like Casemiro, it's very hard to get rid of him because the only people that are going to be interested in him, and they don't even want to pay that much in the wage, but would be a Saudi Arabian club. You know, you've taken away like maybe some other options where you could maybe just get rid of him for, you know, a low fee. It's just, it's not going to happen now. So there's a player like Luke Shaw who's absolutely injury prone. There's nothing you can do about that. Nobody would take him. Nobody's going to pay for a player like that. It's literally impossible. And then there's issues with like Marcus Rashford. We gave him a big contract. He didn't play good for 2 seasons after we gave him that contract, so that kind of fucked us. You know, all these things were done before Ineos. We're still paying for them now. So, Fox says we need Grace to replace Vel. Well, we'll just have we'll just have Grace replace Sir Jim Ratcliffe. And then maybe we'll be better off. What happening with Kone? Is he going into the first team or going on loan? I heard that he was going on loan. Apparently, potentially. I think the last thing I heard about him was that he was probably going to go on loan. I don't know if they've made that decision 100% yet, but I did read something the other day that said that I think they were looking maybe to send him on loan. So, Lion says personally thinks he's ready. Well, I don't know. Maybe he is. Maybe he is. Grace says I should replace Amorim. The low striker win the league. Listen, if you do that, we're gonna have to build another statue next to the Trinity one. We're gonna have to put you and Delo next to each other. Box said I heard Kone is going on loan to. Yeah, that's what it was. Box, thanks you. Lasane Sports. And actually, somebody made a good point when I seen that it was on Twitter, and somebody was like, they're sort of like in agreement with Lions that they sort of feel like to a certain degree he's ready, but they were essentially saying we shouldn't be sending him to Lausanne Sports just because they're owned by Ineos. They were pretty much saying like he's actually too good to be on loan there, and we should be sending him on loan to a better team or better competition or whatever. And I thought it was quite interesting. Brother says we still going to be stuck with some of these players. Absolutely. We are. I mean, you can't get rid of all of them. And I think some of them is probably because, again, it's some of them are impossible to get rid of. There's nothing. there's nothing you can do to get rid of them besides ripping up their contract. And at that point, it just doesn't make sense because you have to pay them to rip up their contract. And we obviously don't have money. We're struggling for money. So you're not going to do that. And if nobody puts in a bid for them or nobody wants them or they personally choose not to leave, then, you know, how do you get rid of them? I mean, because somebody like Cass, like, he'll just sit on the bench because he doesn't want to go. So he's like, if you don't want to play me, like, that sucks, but like, I'm also still not leaving. And he's owing all that money, so it makes it less attractive to any other clubs besides the Saudi club. And then there's a few players there that, like, you know, we talked about Rashford earlier. Possibility that Rashford drags it out because he seems hell bent on Barcelona, and Barcelona apparently, according to the latest updates, they're not interested in paying for him. They want a loan. What happens there? Does Rashford kind of just sit there the whole summer saying either loan me to Barcelona or, you know, I'm not going anywhere? And what do United do about that? I think Garnacho is one that we can get rid of quite easily. Rasmus, I think you could probably do it, but it depends if the interest is actually real in him or not, which nobody has kind of proven if it is real or not. Who else? You know, Lindelof is gone, and Eriksson is gone, and Evans is gone. Onana is another one that sort of, I guess it hinges on if somebody actually makes a bid for him or not. If the, you know, Sancho's obviously gone, and Garnacho, Rashford. Who else? I feel like I'm missing somebody. I feel like I'm missing somebody. But for people like, for example, like, I think we'll 100% we're definitely going to be stuck with Luke Shaw. I think Luke Shaw, there's no chance, and I think we'll probably be stuck with Casemiro as well. I think those two players are definitely. There's no way we don't get stuck with them. You know what I mean? Their situations are quite beyond anything that you can do about it, really. Luke Shaw being so injury prone, there's no team that would take him. There's no team that would take him. And Casemiro, I mean, his situation isn't great either. There's also, you know, the Rashford thing, which might be a problem as well. Sorry, tired. Carlos says that Grace can't do any worse. Lion says nice, love the feeder club idea. I mean, I do like it, but I mean, Lines, if you're saying that you think he's ready, then shouldn't we be sending him to, like, maybe like the championship or something? Instead of to wherever that team is, because I don't even know where they are. But it's clearly not that strong of a league. Although I suppose he would be playing first team football. You know, at the highest level of that league, but I don't know how much better that is. The number 69 said United and their Ratcliffe stinginess are offering Gyokeres £250 a week. Well, they have to. They have to. I mean, they gave but this is what I'm saying. Like, they have to. Again, you could be stingy with certain things, but I said this yesterday, and I hope whether it's Omar or Jason or maybe all of them or somebody, I don't really care who it is, to be quite honest. I hope somebody, like, explained to Sir Jim the concept of that. I know you're trying to fix the finances and shit, and, you know, we've been losing money for 4 years in a row. And every quarter we lose money. And I understand that isn't sustainable. And obviously you have to reverse the course of that. But what he needs to understand is that you can be stingy with all this shit, you know, cutting certain jobs and, you know, not having parties or whatever. But you cannot be stingy when it comes to the transfer market. You can be smart and reasonable, but you can't be stingy when it comes to the transfer market, especially in our situation, because we are already far behind. And if you're stingy and you don't spend, because you got to spend, but just fall further behind because everybody's going to spend. So, Jarlee Malmin says 250k is maybe a little too is maybe too little to attract Gyokeres. Need 350. No. See, I'm not about that though. I'm not about that. We shouldn't do that. We shouldn't do that. I want Gyokeres, but we shouldn't do that. No player, nobody. I mean, especially for a player that hasn't represented the club yet, one moment, should be getting that amount of money. It's too high. Gyokeres is on 45k a week now. Yeah, I mean that's way too high. Way too high. Nobody should ever, probably, I'm gonna be quite honest, 250k is probably where I draw the line. For anybody and any transfer. Nobody should be getting 300,000 or 325 or 350. Absolutely not. It's gone horribly wrong doing those things. And also, I've always said that there might be an exception, maybe one very rare time, but that player has to earn that, to get 300,000 or 350,000 a week or whatever it is, you have to earn it in a Manchester United kit, not what you're doing somewhere else. You need to come to this football club. Maybe you're on 225,000 a week, and maybe you're here for 3 seasons from now, and you've absolutely earned the right for a contract extension and a pay bump. And maybe it takes you to 325,000 or something like that. But only after you prove yourself and earn it representing our kid. Ray says I'm going to support Stoke City. Stokey. Ready for a loan. Well, yeah, I think, yeah, for sure. Man United shop has bring it back. We should bring back players from retirement. And don't forget MMUGA. Yeah, make Man United great again. Yep. Muga. Yeah, Muga. Muga. KBF, DDDL, and DDDN. Also, by the way, there was a couple other things actually. So I like this. We're just going, back and forth a little bit. So, Amorim did say this today about sort of the youngsters. And he said I really liked the youngsters. He said Jim, I think this is his name, Twait. I don't even know if that's how you pronounce it, but whatever. Jim Waits, in the last 15 minutes, this is what Ruben said. In the last 15 minutes, you could see that he wanted to play, no matter how many minutes. The youngsters are important, and there will be room for them in the team. Also, somebody pointed out, is he taking a bit of a dig there at Garnacho? Sort of indirectly, but maybe he's throwing some sort of shade. Because, he mentions Jim Thwaites and says, he played the last 15 minutes, but then he goes on to say you could see that he wanted to play no matter how many minutes. And remember, Garnacho complained. About playing 20 minutes, being subbed on in the final after he says that, he bring himself, he helped the team get there. So, is he throwing a bit of shade at Garnacho, kind of saying like, kid's more than happy to play whatever minutes I give him, and not like some other players. There was something else. Yeah, this was the Barcelona one coming from name is Tony Juan Marty. Um Again, I don't know this source, but apparently they said Manchester United only want a sale for Marcus Rashford, which is good. As of today, Barca are looking for ways to soften up United. Give us Lamine Yamal. Give us Lamine Yamal. We'll give you Rashford. And yeah, sounds soft to me. Sounds softened. But they also said Barcelona is not open to paying a fee for Rashford, who they would want only on loan. And then it says it remains to be seen whether United will give in and how much Barca and Rashford push. Again, I think it could be. I think this is going to turn into an issue. I think this is going to be an issue. If Barcelona are not willing to pay money and Marcus Rashford wants to go only to Barcelona and United don't want to loan, they want to sell only, we have pretty much a triangle of just things that are fucked. I mean, Rashford's going to go against United and try and force them to get the loan. Barca are going to try and force United to do a loan, but they're also going to go against us in the fact that they're not willing to give us money. And then United are just going to be sitting there and they're pretty much going to be like, we only want to sell and we need money and we don't want Marcus. So it's kind of a fucked situation. One that I can see really taking till probably like the end of July. So, and not necessarily great. There was this story from that came out not too long ago. Paul Hurst, if you know Paul Hurst, he's a reporter. He's a reporter for Time Sport, and he came out and said United say players understand the £8 million raising tour's purpose, but sources report most of the squad is furious they could be on holiday with their families. They also added a player advised a teammate to give short answers during a question and answer session in Kuala Lumpur so that the session would end as quickly as possible. And this is what I'm saying. Like, nobody actually wanted to go there. They just all went and did a job, but they don't want to be. They don't want to be doing this. Thought it was a different Sergio Aguero. Brady says, love Friday show, love it. Yep, it's always a good one. Jarlee says, that would be really petty by Ruben if it's a dig at Garnacho. I don't think he is like that. Yeah, maybe not. It was just somebody's observation. They pointed it out. So probably not. Probably just reading into it. I mean, I think if it was like a lot more clear, or it was definitely like, I think it was definitely, if it was definitely a dig, like more people would have picked up on it. It probably would have been, by the way, Manchester City have gotten Pep Linders. And I mean, we don't know who that is. He was a Dutch football manager. who was most recently the head coach of the Austrian Bundesliga club Red Bull Salzburg. They've literally brung him in, Klopp's former number two. They brung him in to work at City, so they're kind of doing a madness there. He's the one that was kind of credited with helping build, helping Klopp build the team that was built at Liverpool. He was the one that was supposedly the specialist behind all that. So that's a bit of yeah, big no for us. Line says I didn't even think about that. Well, number 69 says Coney is very talented, but I'm worried for him. Like all United young players, what do you think the club should do more to support them? I mean, it's a good question. I would say to a certain extent, considering that these players that are sort of making this push up, I think in one aspect we're right in that position. It's our problem seems to be when they make the transition from reserves to first team player. And that's because I think the dynamic in the first team. Actually, here, you know what? I'll give you it's the shorter version, but it's the more straightforward version. The number. What do I think the club should do more to support the younger kids? Clean up the first team. Clean up the first team. Get players with stronger mentalities and better attitudes. Get them in that squad. Create an environment for the players, the young kids, so that when they come up or they're given opportunities, there's an environment to sort of flourish. Because I think actually one of the big problems that we have is I think they do quite well in progression in the reserve teams. Once they do a crossover from the reserves to the first team, and the first team is an absolute just disaster. It's toxic, it's broken, it's dysfunctional, it doesn't work. There's probably some players in there that definitely have bad attitudes or bad mentalities. They're not leaders by example. It's a bad environment for these kids to walk into because they're kids. They don't have much experience or any experience at the highest level. And they look at these other players that maybe have already played 100 matches, 200 matches, or whatever for Manchester United professionally. And it just seems like there is something going on in that environment that once these kids make a crossover from the reserves to the first team, there's a potential that they get sort of infected and they kind of get derailed. So I think we should be looking, in my opinion, we should be looking how to fix the first team as much as possible and create actually a good environment, a balanced environment, but one that is good for these young guys to sort of feel a little bit more comfortable, a little bit more accepted, have better sort of personalities and mentalities and attitude and skill people there to look up to, that they can take advice from them and learn from them. And I think we don't have much of that. So Ray says no loans. That's why I said we are no in charity business. We are now in charity business. But yeah, we can't do loans for sure. That doesn't help us. Number 69 says, imagine if Almas was to take 3 more years to be world class. Are United fans patient enough? Um, well, it depends. I mean, it depends. There's always people out there that aren't going to be patient enough regardless. I mean, there's plenty of people out there that have no patience whatsoever. But it depends, I guess. You know, context is key. It's I get what you're saying. The number, I get what you're saying. Um but I mean, listen, if he, for example, if we made him a starter this upcoming season, right? If he was a starter and he did all right, like he did okay for his first season, right? Young kid coming from the academy, everybody's going to give him a chance for the first year for sure. There's probably some, prat or some jackass out there that's going to write him off within the first, 3 games. But most United fans would give him a chance, especially if you come from the academy. You get a little bit more leniency for yourself, right or wrong. It happens. So the first year, let's say he does okay. If we go into the second year and he does even just slightly better than the first year, then I think people will be happy with him, which would lead him to the third year. And in the third year, he really takes off. And he's performing exceptionally well, then yeah. But if it's like a disaster performance the first year and then the second year ain't good either, most people aren't going to be willing to give him the third year. So, it kind of just depends on how it goes. You know what I mean? I think he could get 3 years or something like that. I think people would give him 3 years, but it depends on how it unfolds, I guess, to a certain degree. It depends how it unfolds. I mean, if he's having a very, very rough, like first time actually, starting like a full season or something like that. I mean, there's people that are going to say that he ain't good enough, which I always find crazy. I mean, I don't understand how you can say a 17, 18, 19, 20, or even like 21, really. I don't understand how people look at them, write them off for the next 10 to like 14 years of their career. I don't understand if that's like a video game football mentality type of thing where, if you don't develop the player by, the age of 18 or 19, they don't become world class or something like that. Like in football, man, I don't understand if that's it, or something. Cause I always find it weird. I'm like, you do understand that some players like don't really start being amazing till 25. Not everybody can be Ronaldo, Messi, and fucking Lamine Yamal. It doesn't happen. That's why they're special, and that's why everybody goes crazy about them, and that's why they're like unicorns. Because it literally isn't uncommon. But people, for whatever reason, they tend to, maybe it was a bit of Ronaldo and Messi as well. Maybe it was just like they seen that. Maybe we got so spoiled by it that some people just like, they look at it and they're like, if you can't do anything similar to that, you shit. And you ain't ever gonna amount to nothing. And I'm just like, well, you people do realize that, like, this is a team sport and you need lots of different types of players in your club. So, I don't know. Lyle says we need to trust our youth. However, a more successful United will be a much better environment for our academy. 100%. I mean, we do have to trust the youth as well. It's a difficult sort of situation. Because again, if you listen to what Amorim said, he said there will be a place for these kids and stuff like that. And again, he's sort of indicating that he does want to use these kids. So, and I think he will go with a bunch of them. By the way, that poll is up to 35 votes. And Jackson has gone up to 46%. Nunez is at 29%, and Rasmus is at 26. So our own player is losing the poll on a United channel to um, a Chelsea player and a Liverpool player. And that's why this shit is real. Because it ain't rigged. That's for sure. It ain't rigged, that's for sure. Because, yeah, people, I mean, you know, if it was rigged, Rasmus would have like 80% of the vote. But he doesn't. So, you know, let's see if there was any other updates, by the way. Okay, so United Muppeteers, if you know United Muppeteers, United Muppeteers has put out an update talking about United remain interested in Brian Mbuemo, and it is still this is his quote. So it says, "It is still my understanding that another club is the present favorite due to the project they are offering, which also includes Champions League. However, no decision has been made, and there's still plenty of space for discussion. United also need to improve the finances to progress on significant spend, as the original budget pre-sales is not enough for what is expected to be an extra 25 million over the lapse price." And this is the shit that I was just saying. On top of that, by the way, I mean, I don't know why he didn't say it, but clearly, because we just went over the update, I mean, he's saying it as well. United are interested in Mbuemo. And he's saying it's still his understanding that another club is the present favorite due to the project they are offering, which also includes Champions League. It's Newcastle. We already went over this. Like, it was already reported. It's United and Newcastle are the two top teams. We don't have Champions League. They have Champions League. And then you go to the part where it says United also need to improve the finances to progress on the significant spend, as the original budget pre-sales is not enough for what is expected to be an extra 25. And this is what I'm saying. So we actually can't move, and we actually can't do anything right now, because what they were going to do was sign Cunha, sign Delap, and then do some sort of an extended period where maybe we go a little bit quiet with transfers in, and we try and do a bunch of transfers out, and then they were going to grab more money and go for some other players. I mean, we can't even go to Mbuemo because we had 30 million for Delap, and Mbuemo is going to cost you about 55 million. So we can't even move at the current state. And that's just I mean, that's really what it looks like when you put everything sort of together. It just sort of feels that way. So yeah. Just reading here to see if there was anything else that popped up. So only because this has something that potentially might affect Garnacho, but Fabrizio Romano has tweeted saying Al Nassr consider Luis Diaz as one of their main targets for the summer window to restart with ambitious plan. Barcelona have also Luis Diaz on the list, but it depends on financial requests by Liverpool. Al Nassr have Hanko and Luis Diaz among top priorities. So yeah, I think you know, Garnacho's not their top target. He's not their top target, but he might become a target if they fail to get him. So if they fail to get Diaz, maybe Garnacho does become a target then. Yeah. Lions, I did that one. Lion says, so is Leon and Amos going to be Dorgu's understudies? I don't know how I feel about that. They probably should be. And then you just have Luke Shaw there whenever he decides that he can stay fit for, I guess. Because, I mean, Shaw, because of his fitness, he literally doesn't count as a player, unfortunately. Because you just never know. I mean, he could literally play one match. Maybe he plays, 8, but then he could also be gone for the next 30-something matches. So you can't really rely on him. So, I mean, I'll take Amos as Dorgu's understudy for sure. I think if you have Dorgu, Amos, and Leon as the 3, I'm fine with that. I have no problem. They're all very young. But I think it's fine. One of them has to take up the opportunity to, especially if you're there in the beginning of the season, you can have an impact. I think Amos can get more minutes in play, and then obviously we got to see about Leon and how he's going to do and what he actually really looks like playing for us. But yeah, I think maybe you can stick 1 or 2 of them in there, maybe a dozen more. I don't know. We gotta see what happens. Ray says we have to put our kids on the field this coming season to prove themselves. I mean, we might very well have to, because we might not really have any other choice. And maybe, you know what? Maybe that's what he's planning to do, though. I don't know how well that would work, because again, I think maybe you can do that in the Portuguese league when the competition is really only, between 3 teams, really. And it's not like the Prem, because literally the Portuguese league is the worst. So maybe you could do that in Portugal, but maybe that's why he's saying he doesn't want to necessarily sell Bruno and that we can get money elsewhere. And because maybe this is his plan of the fact of that, like, we're not in Champions League. We can cut down the squad. We'll sell some players. We'll get some money. We'll bring in a couple guys. And we'll also, to fill the gaps or fill the holes or whatever, we'll include a bunch of the youth players and start fresh that way. That way you have like some academy players, maybe potentially starting matches mixed in with, a couple of the other players on the pitch. And maybe that's the restart they're going for, where they're going to bring in and use some of the kids. Actually use them, like start them. I'm talking about like start them and have them play matches and stuff. And maybe that's why he's not like too concerned. But I don't know how that would go, because I mean, our goal is that we have to finish, as high as possible, probably Europe. So I'm not too sure how that works. Lion says, so are we going to do any business in them 10 days? Probably not. Probably not. I mean, maybe we sell somebody. Lion, maybe we're able to sell somebody, because it might like it might balance the books or something. Like Everton had that problem where they had to sell somebody basically immediately, because they were going to get hit with PSR and stuff like that, right? And there was that little last summer or something like that. They had to make up the money. So I don't know exactly. I don't know enough detail to tell you exactly what's more beneficial in terms of, I mean, if we sell somebody in the initial 10 days that it opens, like what's a better effect for our books? Is it to sell them in that 10-day period, or is it to wait to sell them after? Because I don't know how that goes together, but there is obviously one that's better. I think if you cut down as much money as possible in that 10-day period, which means like if you were to, if you could sell like 2 players in that period and get a decent amount of fee for them, your budget, which would carry over, the amount you're able to spend would be higher because it goes to the next year. So if you waited after the 10 days, it actually no, that's not right either though, because we're gonna get the money. I don't know. I have no clue, to be honest. I don't know. I don't know. I doubt it, because it just seems like right now we're not really in a position to really buy anybody, so I can't see how we buy anybody. Maybe we do a sale though. Maybe we do a sale. The number 69 says window open in 24 hours. What's your top 5 ins and out? Well, all right. Top 5 ins. Well, my number 1 in is obviously Victor Gyokeres. I would definitely be going for Victor Gyokeres. This is sort of something that I don't really do, because again, like, I don't take the time to like I don't take the time to like sit there and be like, oh, I really like this player from this team and I would bring him to United, because it's like most likely will never happen. So it kind of just has to be. I usually just base it off of what we're linked with, and who's sort of a possibility. But for me, like, Gyokeres is number 1. I'd be quite honest, I would take Mbuemo. I would take Mbuemo. I think he's good. I'm trying to think of other players that we've been linked to. I need sort of like a list. I could tell you from that. And United. Oh, hold on, that didn't work. I will say though, the number 69. Do you have your own top 5 ins, top 5s out? Because if you do, I want to hear yours as well. So I tell you, I would go. Victor Gyokeres for me is number 1. I was probably cool with Cunha as well. So I don't know if you want to count that as 2, but at one point I would have liked to get Frimpong or Quenda, but obviously we're not getting either one of them, because Quenda's gone to Chelsea and Frimpong has gone to Liverpool, so those are done. At centre back, maybe I would go for somebody like Diamande or some shit. In that sort of aspect. Midfielders, I would have liked to get Napan, who is 17-year-old Norwegian. I would like to get him. I would have liked to get him. I like Eze. He's pretty good, but I would probably go for. I like that player from Sporting. Who is it? Hoimland. The center midfielder. I think he's actually very, very good. I would go for him. We need a goalkeeper as well. I mean, I don't know much about these guys, you know. I seen that we've been connected to Senna Lemons. You know, I never watched him. I know Diogo Costa. I'm not too sold on him, even though he is good. But I have seen him make quite numerous amounts of mistakes. I think we could probably maybe get somebody that makes less sort of mistakes. So yeah, I don't know. Well, my kids are only 6 and 9. honestly don't think they'll cope. I mean, they probably might not be able to. And that's what I'm saying. Like, I know maybe you could get away with that in the Portuguese league because it's the Portuguese league, but I don't know if it would work quite well. Maybe if you do like a good mix, maybe, but it could still go very wrong, you know. KDL said, I heard Ten Hag wants Anthony and Garnacho. Yeah, we talked about that yesterday. It was like a small update from, I think it was a German source, KDL. At his new club, maybe he can save us after destroying us. That would be funny. That was literally my reaction yesterday when when we were on the live and I did the show. We read it as it came out while we were literally live. Like, it was like the livest update you could possibly get. And that was the first thing I said. I was like, maybe he wants to, like, maybe he's seen all the people hating him and blaming him for all the transfers, and saying how he absolutely played a huge role in destroying this football club. And I'm like, maybe he's trying to like right his wrongs, and he's gonna like give us some money, and you know, and at the very least take Anthony away, and then like he'll take Garnacho and give us a little bit more money. Line says he can do us a solid and take Onana as well. Yeah, I mean, if he really wants to do us a favor, don't take Garnacho. Garnacho we can get rid of somewhere else, no problem. What he really needs to do is he needs to take Anthony from us, and he needs to take Onana from us for sure. 100%. KDL says he will have the Wirtz and Frimpong money from Liverpool. That would be ironic, right? Oh, that is true. They are going to get quite a good amount. They are going to get quite a good amount. I mean, but didn't they get like Frimpong? Well, Wirtz obviously went for a good amount of money, but didn't Frimpong go for like under 30 million or something like that? I just read. So, and what's Wirtz going for? Probably like 80 mil or something like that, or 90. So I mean, it's still gonna have 100 and something million. So, Line says, love the profile picture. KDL Bruno. Yeah, Bruno. KDL says Eze, Mbuemo, Turkey. Oh yeah, there is Turkey as well. Mateta, Gyokeres, Osimhen. I mean, that's a good. I mean, going for Gyokeres and Osimhen, you want both. Yeah, I mean, in a world where we can, if we had the power to do it, that's also my thing. You know what I mean? Like, I probably have like 2 or 3 different lists I could come up with. There's one where, like, if we were just like in a regular, I guess, state where we could actually spend the money that we should be able to spend and stuff like that, and we weren't in like financial ruin. I could probably come up with a concrete list like that as well. Like, Osimhen and Gyokeres and Mateta. You've gone. Is that 3 strikers? Turkey. Something like that. But then my brain does this thing where it's like, yeah, we can't we're not, that's never gonna happen. So, I try to do one where it's like we could at least get some targets or whatever. But, yeah. The number 69 says KDL 10 Hag has to do at least a double in Germany with at least 160 million LBs in. And Martinez from Aston Villa. I think all us United fans need to pray right now. Probably. I've been praying for quite a bit. Doesn't seem to be working, to be quite honest, because it keeps getting worse. Keeps getting worse. Maybe I should stop praying. I don't know. I don't know. I just don't know. No, I don't know. Where we at? Grace is here. Grace says, Eric, close your eyes, breathe, and think about this Deli Ali number 8. Now, you know what happened when I closed my eyes? I saw just injury prone. Even though I don't even think he's injury prone, but all I saw was like him United kit came and just like ended up playing one match for us. That's what I saw. That's what my brain showed the image, the picture that it showed in my brain. This guy came, was on the ground, gone, out for the season. Fans fucking absolutely furious all over the place. In the stadium, online, on Twitter, on social media, just going nuts, saying we've done it again. Why did we get a guy like this? He's useless. No. uh Statman Dave will put a video out there how he will fit the system. I don't to be honest, I don't I don't really like I don't hate on Statman Dave or whatever. He could do whatever he wants. He does his thing, but I'm one of those people that I just really don't give a shit about stats, man. I really don't. I could like really there's a few basic stats, but I'm talking about I can't be one of those people that they almost act like some sort of a data analyst or whatever, like a professional data analyst, where they're like pulling out these weird, crazy stats that only I think people at like the professional, the highest professional level are doing with like crazy computers and equipment and stuff like that. And I mean, and they like follow this shit. And I just don't really buy a lot of it. I don't buy a lot of it. I think they could help in a certain aspect, but I think when you become a person that relies solely on data, I actually think that it's not as effective. I think it's effective to use your eyes and your brain, like watching football and watching how players play and how they move and stuff like that, and then also use data in combination to do certain things. But I'm talking about fans here, really. I mean, fans just, they start making, no, this player is really good because he has, he's number 2 in the league for, um, you know, 15, 15-second sprint time or something like that. Like 15-meter sprint time or something. Like just stupid shit. And I'm like, that doesn't, you know, and for every stat you got, there's probably another one that I could put up that says that contradicts what you're trying to say is good in terms of stats. Obviously, goals assists is just like it's a basic one. It's a normal one. You know what I mean? Goals assists is just, see, to me, goals and assists, I'll take those as stats because it's direct involvement. Like if you're getting goals and assists, you're having direct impact on matches. Whereas like these weird stats of like, I can't even think of them, but they're so weird. KDL said I would be happy if we ended up with Cunha, Mateta, Mbuemo, and kept hold of Bruno and Ahmad as right wing back, but I'm still hoping we have some kind of ace up our sleeve with Gyokeres. The hope is what kills you, though. I mean, yeah, I think that would be good too, to a certain extent. Cunha, Mateta, and Mbuemo, and kept the hold of Bruno. I would definitely be playing Ahmad as right wing back. I think Ahmad, again, for me, if Ruben was gonna play Quenda as a wing back, I think Ahmad is Ruben's Quenda to a certain degree. I think he has to be. But I think he is, and I would be doing that for sure. Um, I feel like probably though, um, KDL. I don't know if that's enough though, in terms of what we really need. Because I personally think we need 5 signings. And that was before we lost the Europa League. I kind of jokingly half say we need 7. But I don't think we'll get 7. And I think it's probably a struggle to do 5. But I think at the very least, I always said for months, I said that we need probably a minimum of 5 to give Amorim a chance. So to actually be able to make something change. So I don't know if we'll get it. KDL says also we need to replace Onana. Yes. He is terrible. Cost us so many points this season. Yep. Not only this season, I mean last season, he single-handedly basically got us kicked out of the Champions League as well. So I agree with you on that for sure. I agree with you that for sure. Now, KDL, I might ask you this for no reason, but I ask it anyway because I think it's interesting to ask. Are you completely against selling Bruno Fernandes at any price? Are you completely against selling Bruno? Like if they offered, let's say they offered 125 million for Bruno, would you not do it? Is he that important? Gray says, did you like the 442 diamond under Ollie? He kept making videos about how Eric Ten Laden should have used it. Don't know, just enjoy the summer. Delois, Rubens, Quenda, and Yamal and Ronaldo rolled into one. I mean, no, because it didn't necessarily work, did it, Grace? The 442 diamond under Ollie. It worked well that one time that I can remember, and then we tried it like another, 1 or 2 times, and then it didn't really have the same effect, right? So I mean, I liked it for that one game, that one match for sure, because we actually did quite well in it, but then after that it didn't really work. But you're saying that he kept making videos about how Eric Ten Laden should have used it. Yeah, but this is what I'm saying. Like, this is what happens when it's like it gets very tactical. Like, I don't hate on the guy, whatever. I think he puts out some good stuff as well. Especially if you like, if you're unaware, if you want to learn something to a certain degree, like for example, like, if you're not the most tactically knowing person, maybe you get a manager, you don't know too much about him and the way he plays. Like those sorts of videos are good to watch because it gives you an idea of like how the team is supposed to look and what's supposed to happen and like kind of what's the basic concept behind it. But then it's like you get to a point where like you live in tactic land and only tactic land, and then it's just like, it comes to a point where it's like it's not even, that's not even the sport, anymore. It's just like it's all numbers and like computers pretty much, and like just machines or whatever, like analyzing data and stuff like that. It just sort of feels robotish in a way. Then we beat Leipzig 5-0 using it. Yeah, we did. I if I remember correctly, Grace, it worked for like literally one match. We did it. It worked. It was excellent. He switched it back. The next game, he went back to the other formation. He might have done it for a couple games. We didn't play as good, and I remember everybody sort of crying and telling Ollie to go back to the diamond because we played so good in it. And then when we did go back the diamond, I forgot what match it was. I think we took the piss. And then I think he tried it one more time, and it still wasn't really that good. And then after that, he never used it again. So, KDL says I would sell Bruno for the right price, and would it help us in a rebuild? My only worry is how much money would go towards transfers, and if we could get real quality in the market. And yeah, I mean, you're like me, pretty much. That's what I've been saying. You know, with a little bit of Box in there. Box was kind of, that's his worry as well. Which is why he's actually against it. He's against the sale of Bruno Fernandes for that reason, for the reason of your worry. I'm worried about it, but I lean in more like how you lean into it. Pretty much that, like, you know, I would sell him for, you know, 100 million plus, probably around there. I wouldn't take any less for sure. No way. And I would definitely try to get more, especially if these guys are this serious and that interested in doing it. And the reason for that is because, like you said, I think it would help us in a rebuild. But I think, to be fair, I mean, it's not your own. It's not only you. I think everybody's worry, pretty much, especially looking at this, whether you would actually still sell him or not. I think everybody's worry is exactly, you know, how much money would go towards transfers, and if we could get real quality in the market, because those two are major unknown things. You know what I mean? They're two major unknown things. You know, everybody, like me and KDL, and even probably Box, and everybody else, but I'm saying us three, like, we in our heads would be like, so me and KDL would be like, yeah, we're selling Bruno because we're gonna take the 100 million and we're gonna reinvest it all into the squad, and we could do a lot with that. We could literally get 4 to 5 players maybe with that 100 million and amortize all the deals, all 5 years, and you know, we can try and get as many high quality players as possible. But even if we have to find maybe some hidden gems or something like that, you know, we'll just do some very good deals that fit. And that's us being us, because we're fans and it's in our brain that we're like, yeah, obviously you sell Bruno, you take the 100 million and you reinvest the whole thing. But the thing is, we're not in control. So we don't know what they're going to do. Everybody, even myself, I assume that's what the whole point of selling Bruno is. But these guys could literally be like, well, we need 25 million or 30 million for like this specific reason at United because we need the money, and PSR or some stupid shit like that. And then they'll be like, so you're only really getting 60, 65 million from the Bruno Fernandes thing, and you're looking at it and you're like, but we needed the whole 100. That's why we actually wanted it to happen, is because we actually needed to use the whole 100. We don't need to use fucking 60 of it. We need to use all of it. And then the other concern is also valid because, again, to a certain degree, we're not that attractive, so we're definitely going to miss out and not be able to get certain players. But then at the same time, maybe there are players that might be like maybe a step down from there, or maybe there's a willingness for them to come to us regardless of the Champions League. And I think it would help in that situation because then we would have the money and then maybe we could actually do the deal. Whereas right now it's like we don't have the money, so we can't do anything. Like, in Mbuemo, for example, it's us and Newcastle. Well, Newcastle, I'm pretty sure that they can do the deal. We can't at the current moment. So it's like if we don't have the money, and we don't get money soon, whenever Newcastle decide if they wanted to, they could just go ahead and kind of do that thing, and we kind of really can't really do anything. Because even if we lie, and even if we pretend like we have it, when we get to the point that we need to actually like confirm payment or whatever, and yeah, it's kind of screwed, So, Gray says the days of having good creative wide wingers over. Inverted forwards have are over. Inverted forwards and have proper hardworking midfielders over number 10s. who want to sit behind the striker Bruno, Mount, Ericsson, McTominay, Manu. Um, the days of having good creative wide wingers over. Yeah, I agree. I like the old kind of general, creative wide wingers. I mean, that's what I grew up on. That's what I used to balance my game off of when I used to play. The Bexes, the Giggses, even Ronaldo to a certain extent, at United, and more. But those types of players, um, being a creative outlet, but also being able to score goals. Yeah, I kind of miss that. And maybe we'll get something that maybe goes back to something like that, or it's a hybrid of it. Because football does always change, and this football that we have now is obviously different than the football from 15, 20 years ago. So somebody will come along and make something sort of new or different or whatever, and maybe it'll go back to something like that, where it'll be a little bit more creative and a little bit more freedom and stuff like that. So um we had Giggs and Beckham and Carrick's goals in the later days, Fletcher and Park, proper midfielders. Yeah, 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 yep. I mean, all of them are great. All of them are. Giggs, Beckham as wingers, Carrick, Scholes, and Fletch and Park playing in the central. But this is what happens when I pretty much blame Guardiola for all this. Essentially, to a certain extent, because he came to the Prem with this sort of tiki taka Spanish football. And then once it started becoming successful, everybody just started to adapt a version of it because, they say that thing like if you can't beat them, join them. And it's sort of like they were exposing a lot of systems, a lot of formations, and stuff like that. And it was like the only way that, they tell you not to fight fire with fire, but really the only way that you can kind of counter it is if you play a version of it and kind of beat them at their own game as well. Um, ADL says we would also be losing our talisman. Yep, slash captain, something that worries me because who else would be our captain? I mean, that's a good point as well. I mean, who would be our captain at this current moment in time? Maybe makes Delo captain. Uh, no, I don't know. It's a good point. I think at one point I was saying maybe you could have done Martinez, but I mean the fact that he's gotten two bad injuries in 2 years. I mean, I'm trying to think like somebody that has to be like available for most games and plays most games as well. Like I feel like maybe you could put Delit as a captain. It's quite early in that aspect. Maybe because he's only been here for it's not even been a year yet. But I think he has sort of a lots of experience already at his age, and I think maybe you could do that. The problem with Delit is we don't actually know how. He tends to have slight problems with injuries, as we've seen, and I just think it's a problem to make somebody a captain that you don't know if you can necessarily have available for about like at the minimum 3/4 of the season or something like that. Um, I like Lizandro because of his attitude mentality, but we don't know what's going to happen with him injury wise. Delit is sort of the same. I like Delo's attitude and mentality. Um, and I don't really see anybody else really that you can kind of give it to at this current moment in time. You could always go back to maybe Harry Maguire and make him captain again. uh Gray says if Bruno's laces come undone, he would still moan at the referee. See, but I don't have a problem with that. A lot of people don't like the sort of the moaning and the flaring of the arms and him going like this and whatever. That shit doesn't bother me. I don't know why. It doesn't bother me. Maybe it's because like I used to, again, because my friend is a Sporting fan, so I used to watch some of the Sporting games and shit like that, and I knew about Bruno, and and they're all Portuguese, so I know basically like the whole Portuguese squad. So I was very, let's put it this way, I wanted Bruno to come to this club like 3 years before he actually came to us. I actually wanted him to come to United before, like it was like 3 years before. Like I was just like we were always talking about it, like we're coming to buy. Like I would jokingly say to him, "We're coming to buy Bruno. We're coming to buy Bruno," and he'd tell me to f off, and I'd be like, "No, you f off. Like we're coming to take your player. He's gonna be our player." And then lo and behold, like three years later, it actually happened. But maybe because of that, and I just kind of already knew kind of how he was. Like I just sort of just accepted it, so it was never a problem for me, and I just kind of just moved over it. But I don't know. Some people get very annoyed by it. KDS says he offers us a lot more than just being a great player. That is true. That is true as well. Line says 4 or 5 players, yes, but will they be the same quality as Bruno? I don't think so. No, no, but that's not. See, that's not the point, though. When I say that, I don't think they necessarily have to be the same. All right. So in my mind, I don't know if this makes sense or it makes sense, but I don't know if it works. Right? In my mind, you're not going to be able to get 4 to 5 players to the quality of Bruno. You're not going to get 4 to 5 players like that. But the quality of Bruno and the quality of some of our other players is like this, right? It's like the size of my head. Okay? So Bruno's here and some of our players are here. This is one player. This is the majority of our squad. If you sell Bruno, so now you lose this aspect. This is gone, right? So you don't have that anymore. But you can get 4 or 5 players that are better than this. You can go here, I guess. So you're like, you're not as low. You're not as high. Because, if you were to get players quality 4 or 5 of them, like Bruno, you would obviously go here. We would be here. Maybe. I would assume. Because you don't really replace Bruno Fernandes. He's sort of a strange player. I mean, you can replace him, but it's not about like replacing him with one player. It's not like you're gonna buy somebody that's like a replacement. I would say this. Like, I think one of the things that we always made the mistake, and I did it because I was still quite young at the time, but and actually we tried to do it for. Not that we tried to do it, but the fans asked for it. A lot of people said, like, when Ronaldo left, everybody was like, oh, we got to replace Ronaldo. And actually, I was actually thinking about this today because I heard somebody talk about it. And, like, they bring it up. And I was just like, you know what? I was like, it's actually, in sort of a manner, it's a little bit disrespectful. Because it's like, well, actually, no, like we can't replace Ronaldo and we can't replace Giggs. and we can't replace Scholes, and we can't replace Rooney. You can't replace those players. You can't replace any of them because they're one of a kind. You're not gonna get somebody that's gonna replace a player like that. And I think Bruno is also one that he's a little bit like, he plays attacking mid, but he also kind of plays as the number 6. Not really. It's like a hybrid mix, and the way he plays, it's like his own style and shit. So I don't think you can actually replace Bruno Fernandes with like a direct swap. What I think you can do is probably get a couple players that fill the sort of void. So specifically for this, you would get another number 10, and then you would get some type of a midfielder. Like maybe if you got Mbuemo and you got, in my opinion, Himland or Hoimland, whatever his name is, he's very good. I like him a lot. If you get 2 players like that, you can't it's not you replace Bruno, but you replaced sort of at least his role or his job or whatever with 2 players. But I don't, I just don't think you can replace him. You could get a different player that might have like a certain level of high quality, but I think it's difficult to replace players that have like sort of a unique characteristics or play style. Like we could, you could never replace Giggs, and you can never replace Scholes, and you can never replace Rooney. Like it's never been done. It's not going to happen. And even for some other players, like nobody's ever going to replace Ronaldo. Nobody's ever going to replace Messi. In that sort of sense, in directness, in direct swap. What you can do is you can sort of replace them in the squad by moving forward after and changing the dynamic of the squad. But to do a direct replacement for him, I just don't think it's possible. There's just players there that you can't replace them. Lion says some United fans, I should say. Yeah. Grace says Bruno can do my dishes minimum wage. He doesn't need that though, because if he leaves, he's getting paid 700,000 a week. Grace, can you afford to pay him that? Grace, his line said it's past the watershed. I could swear. Grace says, did you hear the Pep story that he benched Henry at Barcelona for going over to the right and was told to stay wide left? He went right, scored, and got benched at halftime. Bloody systems. Yeah, I've heard that, and there was a couple other ones. And this is also part of the problem, Grace, as to why football is the way it is. The reason why we don't see as much creativity anymore, and the reason why the game's gone a bit robotic in terms of how it used to be, is because of these systems. But what happened is somebody was playing creativity, and somebody was playing, the old school way, and somebody started playing system wise. And what happened was the system wise person, or club or whatever, but I would assume it's a manager and a team, they started winning more. And this is what happens solely because they were able to be successful. Everybody else kind of had to sort of follow the blueprint, unless they came up with one that could beat it. But it seemed like it was either easier to just try and copy it and go head to head with them. So it's kind of like, we're kind of on the same playing field here, and whoever's better is better, or that's what it just seems like. It's very robotic. It's very it's all about systems and shit. KDL says the fact we don't know who else could be our captain shows how lacking of leaders at this club, and that's a big problem. No, I mean, you're absolutely right. I mean, listen, again, for me, my problem is like there was at one point that like I would say I would give it to Martinez and maybe Delit. Um, maybe Delit. I think Delit can do it. I don't know if it would be maybe the right time. I would have picked. I would have been able to like tell you 100% Martinez, but the problem is with Martinez is that he got this injury again, and I just don't know what's going to happen to him. So it makes me feel a little bit unsure because at one period of time when the butcher was being the butcher and was doing butcher things, I like the fiery attitude. I like the sort of mentality, and I like how he's always fighting, and he's strong for being small and a center back and stuff like that. And he was being quite impactful, and I was like, this guy has potential to be sort of a captain at some point, but because of the two big setbacks, I feel a bit wishy-washy about it. Like I'm like, well, what happens if he gets injured again and he's out for 6 months, and knock on wood, because I hope that doesn't happen to him. But it's like you make him the captain, and if he is out again and he's like, essentially become injury prone, then we're gonna have to pick a different it's sort of a waste because he's not gonna play, so somebody else has to be sort of like standing on the field captain at the very least, and then we would probably look to move him on as well. But yeah, there ain't many people in there. I mean, who are you gonna give it to, other than the way I look at it, the little Martinez. I mean, you're not gonna give it to Onana. Maybe some people would say Mazawari, but I don't know because I don't know. He just got there. I think it was maybe a signing of the season, but I don't know if you give it to him. Um, you know, some people maybe they would say Delo. Grace would say Delo for sure. Um, on the left hand side, you can't give it to Dorgu. You're not going to give it to Shaw, and it can't be anybody else. It can't be like the kids or anything. The midfield, maybe you make an argument for Casemiro because he's the old head experience, but I think lots of people wouldn't do that because they don't even want him there. They would sell him. And maybe you can't even play him every game. Even though we're playing less matches, so maybe you can. But maybe him because he's won everything and he's got experience and stuff like that. Maybe. You're not gonna give it to Kobe. You're not gonna give it to Mount. You're not going to give it to Ahmad. You're not going to give it to Rasmus. And you're not going to give it to Xerxes. And I don't expect Garnacho to be here, so I'm not even going to mention him. So I think there's a couple players there that maybe at one point, maybe you could give it to them, but I just feel like for some of them, it's not even the right time to do it. So, Undero is here. Says hi, everybody. How are we doing, Mr. Undero? How you doing? Says he's doing fine. Says thanks and you. Lines has asked him, Bruno, sell or keep. And Ondero has said 100% sell for me. He can be the catalyst of us starting to recover. Right player in the wrong era. He hits legendary status for me. That kind of money on the table you have to accept, really. That's how I feel at this moment in time. I just don't think there's any other way. Really, again, considering we lost the money out of the not being in the Champions League and stuff, and I'm looking at it right now, and people are saying, well, they have a concern that we might not be able to get quality, but like we certainly can't get quality now if we don't have the money. If we at least have money in our hand, I think it gives us a better chance to try and get quality. But it's like if we don't have any money, I think we're actually less likely to get anything, and quality for that fact as well. So, Andero says yes, unfortunately, but I just don't see how we can get in what we need by keeping him, and that's what I've been kind of saying. If he does stay, then we will most likely have to shop very wisely, free transfers, etc. Yeah. Well, I don't know about how many free transfers. I think also for the fact that we could probably do something like that in that aspect, and that's where you have to have like a good, um, well, it's supposed to be director of football, technical director, head of scouting and shit like that. You could probably do a mixture of that, and then see what we get out of sales. But it's a longer process, and it might take, you know, it might take longer than that. Grace says we replaced Beckham. If you know, you know. Well, KDL says be very surprised we didn't sign 2 or 3 Sporting players in the window. Maybe Inacio, Himland, and Goncalves. And obviously Gyokeres, I always thought he was going to bring his own guys. Well, I think one of them is Gyokeres. I think he wants Gyokeres for sure. Um, but maybe also maybe he's doing us a favor, to a certain extent, because I mean I don't believe this for Himland. I don't believe this for Himland, or Hoimland. However the hell you say that guy's name. Um, but maybe he's a little bit against it because he maybe he knows some of those players, and maybe there's not too many that he thinks would be good for the Premier League. I don't know. I don't know. You know, it's interesting though because I don't know what the deal is with that Himlin guy. I mean, he was linked to us. I think even before we actually got Ruben Amorim, and then he was kind of linked to us a little bit, like in January or something. But like, I'm surprised that like he's not being linked. Um, Really anywhere. I think he's actually, especially for Ruben's system, I think he obviously fits it perfectly because I think he can do both. He can do defending, but he can also do build up and attack. Um, so I'm surprised that like we're actually not being mentioned to him in any sort of way. Um, and Lion says, we would potentially be relegated without Bruno this season. Well, yeah, I mean, but that's what I'm saying. Like, if you took Bruno out of this team and you just had this team, you probably lose like at least a good 10 points, maybe more. I don't know exactly, but I would say off the top of my head, we probably would have been down another 10 points at the very least. And that's my whole thing is just like, if I gotta, I don't know how to reiterate this. Like, I understand that point and I get that and it's valid. My whole thing is, if you the people in charge of our football club, right? They only have like 2 options. And it's like, if you choose to sell Bruno Fernandes, you cannot fuck around. Like, you must execute and you must have a plan and you must actually like, be smart. They have to have an idea of something that's like actually going to transform the team. Because if you just get rid of Bruno and we still are like screwed in the transfer market where we like aren't able to get a decent amount of players that are a decently good quality, then you know it's pretty much the same as if we just kept Bruno and got nobody. Pretty much, we could have just went for round 2. It almost doesn't. it almost is like it doesn't really make sense um in that aspect. You know, the whole point is to get in players so that we have a squad so that we can actually pick up an extra, 10, 15, 20 points in the season, in next season. So the only player I'd give the captaincy to would be Delit. However, if we can get him in, Emi Martinez, I think Ugarte could end up being captain material. Really, you see Ugarte as you think Ugarte could be captain material? It doesn't really strike me as sort of a captain. Um, as of right now, Delit I understand totally, and I have no quarrels with that. I guess. Um, it's just that I hope that he would be able to be like fit and stay available because I'm a little bit concerned of his fitness and injuries and stuff. I kind of like to have a captain that mostly is basically always available. Um, maybe they're not to like Bruno's nature, but like basically is always going to play because they're really good, and you know that they're going to give you most of the time they're going to give you the best performances. Obviously, Delit's been a captain before, so not it's one of the reasons as well. He also has a lot of experience for his age, so um yeah, I don't know. I don't. I would probably give it to Martinez over Ugarte, but and not Emi Martinez, Lisandro Martinez. Watch the title card, says Bladar. Line says Delit is the only option. Maybe Martinez, depending on injuries, but Delit track record isn't much better, and that's what I'm saying. Like, Andero says with exception to Cunha, who isn't worried about European competition, we are going to struggle to attract top and second tier players, not just for last season, but as a whole. That's reality now. Well, my thing is, again, you're 100% right, and I get that, and I understand how that is definitely a reality to a certain level. But I would also try and not fight you on it, but I would fight sort of that topic. Like if I was involved somewhere in the club, in the board or something, and they're trying to tell me or people are saying like in this meetings, something similar to what you're saying on Dara, where they're saying like, you know, um basically a lot of these players they want to be playing in these European competitions. We're going to struggle to attract the top and second tier players, not just for last season, but as a whole. My thing would be, I get that. That's true and it's accurate. And I do agree. But I don't accept it as our fate. Because I would tell them all you have to do, for me, in my opinion, couple examples. I mean, number one, Villa, um, propelling themselves. But probably to me, the bigger one, because I feel like to a certain level, their club was in a similar situation. Arsenal. How did Arsenal go from wherever they were under, good evening? Um, I forgot his name. I just called him good evening. The hell is his name? The manager of Villa now. Um, yeah. So you go from wherever they were finishing to they went to 8th twice with Arteta. But how did they get players in and able to propel themselves to 3rd in the 3rd season if they finished 8th twice and they weren't in Europe? Like, you know what I'm trying to say? Like, there is a way that you can get players and you can build a team. And it might not happen in the first season, but at least you could have somewhat of a mediocre-ish, decently season to kind of try and build on, after that. But there's got to be a way because other clubs are doing it. I mean, like Villa jumping up in there and Newcastle jumping up in there and stuff like that. Like they didn't have Champions League, they didn't have any of this stuff. So there's got to be a way for you to be able to craft a team that can potentially get you back in and around that conversation. Yeah, Unai Emery. There you go. I was drawing blank. Thanks a lot. I was drawing a blank, man. It is shit, yes. Andera says, I'm so surprised that we're not looking at Jonathan David. As I know Napoli and Juve are looking at him, yep, and Tyler Dibbling at Southampton, he will be cheaper now. We have to get real on players. Well, this is what I'm saying, though. Like, they have a job to do, and, they got to be doing it. And this is going to rely heavily on them. Because depends how actually good they are and how smart they are and like, thinking outside the box and stuff like that. That's going to have the biggest sort of impact. Because again, I look at that job that Edu did at Arsenal with Arteta, and I think he did a really good job. I think he did exactly what he was supposed to do in that role. Like he literally did his job. Like as good as you probably could have done it. And I guess now we'll know really what kind of job these guys that we have here, what kind of job they can do. Because actually, I think we're probably in a very difficult position. And if you could figure out how to navigate out of this thing and come out with something good, then I think we can look at it and be like, you know what? Look at the beginning of June. We were saying how screwed we were. And, when it's the end of August, we'll be looking at it. And, if they did exactly what I just said, we could say, I don't know how they were able to navigate that, but they actually, maybe they actually did something here. Or we'll be saying the opposite and said they've completely fucked it. Yeah, Emery. Yeah. Andera says, what you have to say for yourself. If you were a top professional player, would you pick United as your number 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5 or 5th choice as it stands? I've been in the environment and players do this. Well, yeah, I know that. I mean, even as me, I understand the situation 100%. But again, I think there's got to be a way for us to maneuver. We might miss out on, top tier targets, but there's got to be a way that we had, like, for us to be able to build where we can at least, like, I don't know if fans would accept this, but considering the situation we're in, if we could kind of put something together that gives us, that has some potential to grow on and improve, right? If we could kind of put something together, and let's say we manage to finish like 8th or 7th next season, right? I think considering the fact that we finished 14th or some shit, I mean, it's not great, but it's not like the worst. And we'd have to try and do it again. And obviously then, our goal would be to go from 8th and 7th to, you know, getting in, you know, 6th, 5th, or 4th. There's got to be a way that we can get some sort of like a base or a foundation that, you know, it might not be getting us to like 4th this season or something, because I think a lot of people, they want these players, these high quality players, because, well, obviously they want the situation to improve and they want the best chance possible, but also I think that they want to kind of jump as high and quickly as possible. But I don't know if we can do that. Considering where we are, I think we might just have to look at something where we kind of have like a solid foundation and a solid base, and we might just have to, you know, take the hit in terms of, you know, we finished 7th. Many people, we got to get back into Europe or something somehow. I don't know. I don't know. Your PC crashed. I'm back. Probably missed out on my sporting question. Yeah, I don't think we got it. The last thing you said was Emery. So, um, PC crashed. We've just been really bad at scouting and recruiting. 100%. I've been, Katie, I've been banging on about that for, well, I don't know, forever. You know, even before I started this channel. But yeah, I've been on this channel. I've been banging on about it. I mean, it's not, you know, I know what you mean when you say it's on us. It's not on us. It's not me and you. It's the club, like us, the club. But more so, I mean, the people that, you know, run our club. I don't really consider them us. I consider them them, and I consider us. Because they obviously don't have the ideals and values, especially the Glazes. They definitely don't have the ideals or values of any Manchester United fan. So I don't consider them one of us. You know, they are the owners of the football club, but um, they're not. You know, I try not. I definitely differentiate, and I always say like, yeah, I don't group them with us in any way. I try not to say us because I'm like, we wouldn't have done this to our football club. We wouldn't have let this shit happen. We definitely wouldn't have done any of this. Um, you know, they or them. And now we're doing, you know, the whole pronoun thing. Um, I mean, Lion makes a good point that he says, you know, to Undera, he said, like what Cunha said, Man United is a challenge only great warriors take, because if it works, your name is written forever. This point has been used to attract players. I mean, that is true. And there's some players that you don't even have to tell them that. They just think that way. You know, sometimes you need a bit of luck. It's a long shot for sure. And you definitely have to negotiate your asses off, like Lyle says, to get players now. Our name does carry some type of weight, but yeah. I mean, on Daryl, I'm gonna be quite honest. Like, I understand what you're saying. Like, David is free agent from July 1st. And maybe wages might be a stumbling block, but I find it quite interesting that there's not really. It's been linked, but there hasn't been. There really isn't like any significant Premier League interest from him, considering that he's on a free from any team. I mean, he's been linked with us and maybe a couple other players, like, you know, back in January and stuff like that. But at this moment in time, there's nothing about that. You know, it's kind of just died down. And people don't really seem, no team really seems to be interested. The Italian teams are looking at him. So I don't know. KDL says that's how I'm thinking. Imagine being the players to get Man United back to the big time. They would go down as legends. Well, that's why we keep getting, you know, again, like one of my friends that's a Benfica fan. He was like, you know, if they fire Ruben, before they get rid of these Because listen, they watch too, and they're like, if they fire Ruben and they fire another manager before they get rid of these sack of shit players, and this is his words. He's like, he's like, who the hell would want to go to Man United after this? And I told him, I was like, well, I don't disagree with you. I do agree, but just to that point, there will always be somebody willing to come to Manchester United because these people live in a bubble, a lot of them, and they live in their own little football world. And there's always going to be somebody out there because you don't manage on a professional level, and you're not a professional athlete unless you think you are the shit. Unless you think you are the best. You have to have a certain ego to even be able to make it there. So what happens is somebody somewhere, they'll look at that and be like, I could do that job. I was like, yeah, those 5 of the managers failed, and maybe that shit is true, but those 5 guys ain't me. And I'm gonna go there and I'm gonna fix it. And there will always be somebody. There will be a player, even just like what Lyle wrote, that what Cunha said. There will be somebody out there that it looks at that and goes, oh shit. But I'm quite confident in my abilities, and I feel like I can help them. And if we're able to actually make this work, my name will be forever ingrained in history. It's kind of the same thing for Ruben and any other person that wants to come, or manager, but specifically maybe more manager, because we had this argument in the beginning with my friends as well. They were talking about Nuno Espirito Santo, obviously at Nottingham Forest, and they're like, my other friend's a Porto fan, so obviously he came from there, and he was like, hyping them all up, and he's like, yeah, everything that he's doing, he's amazing, blah blah blah, and all this stuff. And I think he tried to say something along the lines of he's not getting enough credit or something like that. I'm like, listen, what he's done with Nottingham, is phenomenal. To take them from where they were to where they ended up, it was quite crazy. But I told them, I was like, listen, this is how I put it. I was like, if you got Champions League with Nottingham Forest, or you won the league, right? It's gonna be a big deal, for sure. But I was like, the person that comes to Manchester United and would make them win the title, it's even bigger. Like, it would have a much bigger impact, especially it wasn't Nottingham winning. He was talking about Nottingham getting UCL, right, and getting them in the Champions League. And I was like, yeah, that's fine. But I was like, if somebody comes to United and gets them to win the title, I was like, then Nottingham Forest fans might remember Nuno Espirito for getting him Champions League, which obviously didn't happen, but at the time they were in that position. I was like, the person that comes to United and makes them win the Prem again, the first time after this period, they will forever be in history. Like, worldwide. People will forget about Nuno getting them into, Champions League, even though it's a remarkable feat. But I was like, this is what happens. Like, if you can get success there, KDS says, look at the likes of Brighton, Brentford, and Bournemouth. They just keep scouting really good players over and over. And what is stopping us doing this? Incompetence from the United board and scouting department. Yep. And that's why we need to fix it. I always say, KDL, my big belief is until we figure out, or somebody fixes our scouting and recruitment, until we actually get that properly down, we'll never succeed. We will never succeed. I think that department alone by itself has caused so many major problems and has had so many negative impacts. And it is one of the biggest, just biggest piece destroying pieces of United. It has that department by itself has significantly eroded and degraded our football club and has done extensible damage, almost to the point that it's teetering now at this point to a certain level of almost um irreversible damage to a certain extent. And I think I do feel that way. I feel like no matter what, if we don't fix that aspect, there's no way we'll be able to ever succeed. So we gotta do that. That's why I'm kind of pushing this board and this hierarchy, because I'm like, this is we're in a bad situation. You got to show your worth, and you got to show the proof. Because actually, we're we're stuck between a rock and a hard place. We're struggling for money. We just had the worst season ever. We're not able to get some plays, but we need players and we need to improve. So you got to do something. It's not my job to do it because I don't get paid the money for that, and I don't sit in that seat, and I don't have that name tag. But it's your job because you're there, and you get paid for this. So you're supposed to be the expert. And let's see what you got. And I'm hoping that they can do something uh positive and figure it out for once. Um they're not, what the problem is with them Lions? Like, they're not really anti-United. It's just the fact that they work for networks, and yeah, like this is the thing, like Lions. I don't consider them necessarily anti-United because I just look at it and I'm like, it's all kind of just BS in my opinion at the end of the day. The legends, the other legends, the United legends. Like it's bullshit cuz like if they're on Sky Sports or they're on like TNT or whatever, Bean Sports or whatever it is. If they're inside the studio, most of them get told not exactly what words come out of their mouth, but they have to hit certain topics and they have to talk about certain things that they might not necessarily want to talk about. But it's a job for them. They get paid, and mostly the network is the one that forces this kind of things because you know, Roy Keane saying some things about United, ex United captain and legend, calls out current player or current manager. You know how much clicks that gets. So it's a bit of like, it's a bit like the internet, really. It's a bit like the internet. It's like people that go on Twitter and they say things just to say things to get attention and clicks. It's pretty much the same shit. Only it's not coming from, it's not like Roy King goes there and is like, today I'm going to say this so I could get a lot of attention. It's Roy King's like, I'm going to work. And the people that he works for are like, you got to kind of, that's what that little earpiece is for. That's what the producers do behind the screens. They tell you to, hit pick up on this or pick up on that. They kind of navigate that. So it's unfortunate because they've gotten a lot of them because we were successful and we were very successful. They were very successful. And it's unfortunate that it's kind of now, it's being used against us. Like these guys, they still want to work. They probably, some of them might still need to get paid because um maybe they didn't earn that much money back in the day, or maybe they didn't do a good job with it. So also you need to work, they'd be bored home and whatever. It's unfortunate because it's like they captured all our ex legends and then they put them on TV and they like use them against us now. Um, so it is quite unfortunate. Andera says, one thing I'll tell you guys, top players live in a big bubble, like you say, Eric. I've been around top performers, agents, and advisors making their clients' heads turn all over the place. Yeah, yeah, I know, I know. They do. Like it's just like I always wondered though. Well, I think maybe now it's different because they look at a lot of social media and shit. But um, I always found that dynamic interesting because there's players that look at that sort of stuff, um, and they look at social media a lot, and maybe they believe or they read too much stuff and they take too much stuff in, right? But then also at the same time, I feel like there's probably many players, and then there's also like managers and stuff like that where they might see some shit on, like what did they see, like they see like a post and people talking about, yeah, the Glazers are horrible. Um, the football club is rotting on the inside and all this shit. And, they see it and they're probably like, ah, this is probably just some, BS or whatever. And they don't really pay attention to it because they're trained or they're supposed to not really buy into the outside noise. You know what I mean? And then they take the job and they get there and then they realize that that wasn't actually BS. It was actually true. And it actually is really fucked up. But I always found that dynamic interesting because there's definitely some people that there's definitely some plays that they see everything and they take everything in. Um, and even if they see like stories or news about like maybe their teammates or themselves, like they buy into that shit, or even the manager maybe, and they actually like take that in as fact. And I feel like there's other players and managers out there that they might see some shit online, or somebody might tell them something, and they're like, "Nah, that's a load of trash." Like it's coming from made up or whatever. I always found that interesting. Um, People want him sacked for not getting them Champions League. I find it remarkable from where they was from where they are now. How can you want to sack him? Football is crazy. Who's that? Are you talking about Emery? The KDL Sacunia has a kind of Eric Cantona vibe. Could be the catalyst for us. I mean, he does have a fiery thing. Alliance says, I think I've asked this before, but where is uh oh, Nuno. I think I've asked this before, but where is Owen more like, the United or Liverpool? I, Probably, I would say Liverpool. To be quite honest, I don't think I don't. I didn't like him. I didn't want him. I know he scored maybe a couple decently good goals. There was that one goal against City, uh, in one of the derbies that was very important. But I never wanted him there. I didn't like him. I didn't agree with Ferguson giving him the number 7. I thought it was absolutely absurd that we did that. And now that he's retired, even the manner of which he speaks about United, um, and our managers and players, he pisses me off. Because it doesn't sound very United supportive. He sounds like a fucking Liverpool. Uh, he sounds like a Scouser talking about United. It's kind of like extreme hate. Forest manager, they want him sacked. Are they out of their mind? What's wrong with them? You know, it would be funny. Maybe it would teach him a lesson if they sacked him, and then they ended up in like 14th place. That would be pretty funny if they did that. Um, Recent Amorim interview, he wants to trim the squad back. Yep, considerably because of no European football, with a few new key signings. I don't like the sound of that. We need 7, 8 new players to fix this mess. Well, that's what I've been saying the whole time. But this is the thing that I'm talking about, KDL. I mean, he says something like that, and he says because we don't have a big squad, or we don't need a big squad. Um we don't have a big squad. We apparently we have like FFP or PSR or whatever. So we're gonna get a few key signings. But then he's telling you, well, we could keep Bruno because we could get money elsewhere. And then also says like, you know, a lot of changes are coming. I'm like, well, how are we doing all that together? So, um, I don't like the sound of that either. Andera says, yes, I'm sure nowadays the landscape of social media activity in football is incredibly rife. In fact, in all top level sport in general, I retired in 2008, so it wasn't really a problem then. Yeah, you got out pretty much just in time. It really started popping off around 2012. So you were 4 years out. You got ahead of everybody. You did yourself a favor. Laz says Owen is an ass. Gosh, I hate when he is on my telly. He freaking used United to get a Premier League medal, and now he just disses us. This is what I'm saying, and call him an asshole. He is an asshole. He's not going to score a new TV deal being pro United. He is he. No, but I mean he doesn't even make sense when he says shit. KDL says we are potentially clearing out 17 players. How are we finding the replacements all from the youth? A lot of pressure on them. Well, 17 players. I don't think we'll clear out 17 players. Um, Not this summer anyway. Maybe 7. Maybe we could clear out 7. And that's like, I'm talking about 7 like actually like moving them out, not like Ericsson and Johnny Evans and Lindelof, where we're just letting them go for free, you know? Um, yeah, that's City goal last minute. Yeah, at the time, you know, I was there for it. I don't know. I listen. If he could get KDL, if he could get 5 players in, and he can maybe bring in or call up 4 or 5, um, you know, youth players that are ready or more ready or the most ready, I guess, out of whatever's available. Maybe you can mix it up in that way. And that way you have sort of a bit of an injection of youth, some hunger. You also have some new players, different attitudes, different mentalities. Maybe the environment and the sort of feeling around the first team has changed enough. You know, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. We just got to see what happens, I guess, man. We just got to see what happens because it's too much to try and figure. You know, it's too much for us to try and figure out when United don't have it figured out. You know what I mean? So like, it's you know, it's a problem. Um, 32 minutes ago, Matteo Moretto said Juventus have made contact with Victor Gyokeres. The Italians want to sign a top striker this summer. They saw Juventus trying to get him. Apparently, Franco Mastantuono is getting closer to going to PSG. So that's pretty much it. Um. Shit. Juve. Yeah, Juve. Apparently. But I closed the thing. I forgot who reported that. Let me see. Was it Fabrizio? Please don't be Fabrizio. I know it was. His name is Matteo Moretto. Um. Yeah, he's a journalist followed by. Is it? I think he's Spanish. Moretto. Periodista Deportivo Osablo. Yeah, I don't know. But he's followed by the aggregators. Fab also tweeted. Did he? Who did he tweet? Oh, here. Tweet. No, see anything from Fabrizio. KDL says my feeling is that Bruno wants to stay. He's staying. He's saying no to a lot of things. The club can find other ways to make money. Yes, I think he wants to stay at Manchester United, but you never know. Yeah, we read that like you weren't here, at the time, and we did it probably like an hour and a half ago. So, um, yeah. UCL final tonight. Who we going for? I've been saying, Inter is gonna win it. I've been saying for weeks, Inter is gonna win the thing. For sure. I think Inter will win it. But yeah, Amorim said that again. That's him basically saying, Bruno, I want you to stay, and basically telling the club, um, especially the statement that says the club can find other ways to make money. That's literally him telling him. It's literally telling the club, do not sell my player. Like, do not sell my player. Like, I don't want him to be sold. Figure out another way to make money. Um, don't sell him. So, for France, I think PSG taking it would be good for them. Uh, all right, lines. Aggregators are their accounts that people make that they are. How do I put this? They like gather and collect news put out by actual journalists, and they then like repost the news for people. So, for example, like Chris Wheeler, instead of following Chris Wheeler himself, because Chris Wheeler might tweet, about Chelsea at one point, then he might tweet about United, then maybe he tweets something about Newcastle. What happens is like there are United aggregators. So anytime a journalist puts out news about Manchester United, they grab that news and they repost it. They give the journalist credit, but they repost it so that people that are fans of United, they only get the United news. It's aggregated for United. Um, so yeah, I mean, like, it's pretty much just like they're like United fan news accounts, pretty much. And they just grab the news for people, and then they repost them for fans to follow and you know and reach and stuff. If we sell Bruno when Amorim wants him to stay, that's a really bad look. I mean, to a certain extent, yeah, but you know, it does happen, and it's also, I mean, there's a fine line. Um, I don't know. I think it's difficult. I get what you mean, but at the same time, like, there's a reason why we're supposed to have like a director of football, a technical director, a CEO, um, and all that stuff, including the manager, and why they're supposed to make like certain decisions. Because, like, I don't know, like sometimes the football club, if you have the right people in charge and the correct people in charge, a manager might ask for a player, or they might not want to sell a player, but the club, the people in charge of the club, like, they have to try to do their best to help the manager, but at the same time they also have to look out for the interest of the entire club and not just specifically with that manager. So it's like kind of like a fine line to walk, like, because if Amorim wants him to stay and you sell his player, well then, you know, people are like, well, they're not backing him, and you know, whatever. But like, if Amorim wanted a certain player, um, and he asked for it, and they signed the player, and the player is shit, then everybody's gonna be like, well, they didn't do their job to a certain extent, because like they were like, why would they allow this player to come for Ruben Amorim? Like, they should have told him like, no, this player's no good. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. I kind of see it could go both ways. Like, you know, I think there will be, like, if Bruno does end up going, I think there will be many people that are gonna say like, you know, it clearly, you know, they're gonna say they're not backing him or whatever it is. Um, But these are decisions to be made at the football club. Like, Ruben, as a manager himself, might be like, I just want Bruno Fernandes, and I'll deal with whatever shit I gotta do. The other guys could be there at the football club and be like, but the best possible solution, considering we don't have money, is that we should sell one player so we could bring in five. You know what I mean? And this is what happens. It's like a conflict of interest in a little bit, in a certain aspect. Yeah, De Gea just signed a new deal at Fiorentina, saw that. Kino would sort them out, but I'm going for Robo. It's closed though, at Old Trafford. By the way, that poll finished with Jackson and 41%, Rasmus 33%, and Nunez 26% for who is better. So Rasmus ended up not being the worst one, which is good, because you know what? At the end of the day, Rasmus, he hasn't been good, but also Darwin Nunez is shit, isn't he? So that made me happy for today. But guys, listen, I do have to go. I enjoyed this conversation very much, and I don't really want to get off, but I do have to get off because I gotta go do things, and it's getting late here. And I do have to go to work tomorrow. Otherwise, I wouldn't really care, and we could probably just hang out for a little bit more. But I gotta get ready to wake up to go to work early tomorrow. So got work on a Saturday. I'll be home for the Champions League, but I'm gonna watch it with my friends. So you know, and then we'll probably do another live on Sunday. I don't think, yeah, tomorrow's Champions League final, so we're not gonna do one tomorrow. Wait, is it tomorrow? Yeah. Or today for some of you. What's for dinner? Chicken and rice. Chicken and rice. Just basic chicken and rice. But yeah, I do gotta go. I can't really. I tried. I stayed as long as I possibly can. So I apologize if I have to rush out of here. But thank you guys. I appreciate every single one of you. Thank you for everybody that gifted memberships and stuff like that. That was really amazing and really cool. Shout out to everybody that is a member. I mean, you're on level 1 of a badge. And it starts off with red because that's United. And it goes up in colors, so that's cool. I'm gonna add, oh, look, we could celebrate before we get off. I just realized Look, 4-hour stream, rush out. We'll rush out now at the end. But look, we hit 3,000 subscribers. I can't even point properly. We've hit 3,000 subscribers. Let's go. We hit our goal. We hit our goal. Now our goal is to get to 3,500. So we move again. Yeah, we hit 3K. Let's go, guys. Come on. What a day. What a day. We hit 3K. And we had a bunch of people get gifted memberships and stuff like that. So that's cool. You know, VIP, RDE VIP section. Yeah, so I'm going to add more of the emojis that Lyle created so that we could have everything in there. I think barring 2, Lyle, you know which one. But you're the only one that's allowed to know because you made them. There's 2 of them that you made. We can't use them, so we literally can't use them because we just can't. It just doesn't work. So yeah, 3K. What a way to end the show. We'll be live Sunday. 3 p.m., 3:30 p.m. That's for me. That's my time. So for you, for the rest of you that's not in my time zone, best I could do is 8 p.m., 8:30 p.m. UK time, or BST. You know, I like to say UK time, but British Standard Time. We'll be live for that. Make sure if you didn't hit the like button, make sure you hit the like button on the way out, please and thank you. Greatly appreciate it. Shout out to all the people that are new subscribers as well. For anybody that's subscribed. And if you guys want to get in the comments underneath the video after I end the live, that works too. Love those. They help immensely and they're really good. So, you know, and that's pretty much it. Other than that, you guys have, you know, enjoy pretty much the rest of your weekend. We'll see each other on Sunday. But, you know, enjoy the rest of your Friday nights or Saturday mornings or whatever it is for you. Be good, stay safe, and we'll talk very, very soon. And I love all of you, and thank you for all the support. I appreciate it. You guys have been amazing. And maybe we'll chat over in the Discord. If you're not in the Discord, by the way, you know, get in the Discord. It's the best place to stay updated for when we are going live. And it's also just a good place to have conversation. We'll see you later, KDL. It's good talking to you. You made some very good points. You fit right in with everybody. So, cheers, Eric, and all you rest is yep, cheers. I'll see you guys later. Be good. Thank you very much, and have a good night. Join the bloody Discord. Yeah, join the